Welcome to VAL'S Live podcast. Real news, real talk, real views. Join us weekly for social, political, and religious commentaries, analytically dissecting viral news and more. When they mix it, we'll fix it. Unorthodox and unfiltered views. This is VAL'S Live, the podcast edition. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Watch it live in Jamaica on Hype TV and across the Caribbean. Stream it live on Facebook, YouTube. Don't miss it. Welcome to VAL'S Live podcast. Real news, real talk, real views. Join us weekly for social, political, and religious commentaries, analytically dissecting viral news and more. When they mix it, we'll fix it. Unorthodox and unfiltered views. This is VAL'S Live, the podcast edition. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Watch it live in Jamaica on Hype TV and across the Caribbean. Stream it live on Facebook, YouTube. Don't miss it. Welcome to VAL'S Live podcast. Real news, real talk, real views. Join us weekly for social, political, and religious commentaries, analytically dissecting viral news and more. When they mix it, we'll fix it. Unorthodox and unfiltered views. This is VAL'S Live, the podcast edition. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Watch it live in Jamaica on Hype TV and across the Caribbean. Stream it live on Facebook, YouTube. Don't miss it. All right, guys. Welcome to another episode of VAL'S Live, the podcast edition. And tonight we have an interesting show lined up for you guys. So I want y'all to just, stick and stay. And thank you so much for tuning in. It's a VVL podcast special episode, and we're talking about female influencers publicly bragging about being abused by their partners. Are some female social media influencers normalizing domestic violence? And is it true that gossip is outselling sex on social media? Those are our main topics for tonight. And of course, we also have our social views, a few things that we're going to be discussing just before we get into our main discussion. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to VAL'S Live, the podcast edition. Please go ahead and, of course, follow us on Facebook and also hit the subscription button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at VAL'S Live podcast on YouTube. Thank you guys so much. And of course, hit the notification bell. I'm your boy, Andrew Val, and welcome. Great show we have lined up for you this evening. Thank you guys so much. We have Shelling Shells in the building. Gio in the building as well, aka Real Jamaican. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Just want to say a big respect and special big ups to a few people that are already in the comment section. Blessings to David McLeod. Blessings to all the Jamaica Issues group. Thank you guys so much. And also to all our viewers on Hype TV, how you picture entertainment in Jamaica and across the Caribbean. Thank you guys so much again. Our topics for tonight is: are some female social media influencers normalizing domestic violence? Gossiping mix-up outsells sex on social media, and we'll be discussing that a little later on from now. But we have a few social views items that we want to highlight. So go ahead and share the live right about now. Share it on your different pages. Share it amongst your friends. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and please hit the subscription button. Hit that button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Shelling Shells, I'm going to invite you in right now because I think Gio just ran out for a quick second, but hey, we're in the building. All right, here he is. All right, cool. So right now. All right, guys, welcome. It's Saturday night and we're back in the building. Gio, wagwan. Shells, wagwan. Shells, I like your top tonight. It looks really professional. Thank you.
Sounds like you never like it the other night, them Shells.
No, I'm just saying tonight it looked like she went to a function and then she just happened to just step out,
All the rest of the time, you never like. That's how you go. Thank you, Andrew.
Wow, that should have been the first thing. Acknowledge it first and then complain after.
No, you see, that's the next thing with people. They want you to do things how they want it done. And
no, but it's just a respect. It's just to say, hi, thank you, I appreciate it, but I have a bone to pick. How about
you
that?
almost gave me a sandwich, kind of. Anyways, good night, everybody. Good night, Hype TV family. Good night to everybody on our social media pages. Gio, big up yourself. I'm going to see you on a Saturday, but that's how it go. Andrew, as usual, big up yourself. Facebook. We're over YouTube too. Big ups. And keep the comments coming. Remember to share the live here. Yeah, and like it too. You can't have 50 people viewing and only 5 likes. No balance. So balance it. Likes with the views. All right. Respect for that and blessings.
Welcome, people. My apologies for being missing. I had business to take care of. But of course, I made some poor moves. I told some people about them parts. So I come with me red jacket and a red swagger because I feel like some of this some damage.
Always, yo, he's always giving trouble shells. I don't know. Always.
I used to make one post on Facebook and I said I learned tact.
Right.
The mark of conversation is to maintain a composure while they tell somebody about them BC and them ears. We have to tell some people about them BC, but them
Just go
Spanish,
whisper.
but them not understand.
Move you up. All right. But anyhow, guys, welcome. It's another Saturday. We're in the building, and of course, I'm Andrew Val, and tonight we just want to share with you that we have an interesting show lineup for you. A must-watch VVL special tonight. We're going to be talking about domestic violence, but it's not just about domestic violence because we have a family and marriage, a licensed family and marriage therapist coming in to talk about pretty much what's been taking place on social media between social media influencers Dewey and his wife Queenie from England, and also Official D versus Ivani. And you're laughing, you know what I mean? So we're gonna be definitely talking about those influencers and the recent domestic spat that's been taking place, and they have taken it to social media. Someone would ask then, why would they take it to social media? I mean, their life is about social media. So I don't have a problem with them coming to social media. My only issue is that not everything is supposed to be on front page. All right, cool. But anyhow, breaking news tonight, guys. Shells, thank you so much for sharing this with us. But there's a breaking news. There's been an explosion in Port Antonio. We have that clip.
Just happened in Port Antonio, guys. The ATM machine, both of them explode. I've never seen anything like this in all my life. It's like the movie. Port Antonio ATM machine.
An early morning explosion has damaged the ATM at the Bank of Nova Scotia in Port Antonio, damaging also the main entrance to the hallway, shattering doors and windows with debris lying all over. And this is located on Harbour Street in the vicinity of the Port Antonio Police Station. The explosion was heard around about 3:30 a.m. Saturday, and the fire people were alerted, so they are now on the scene along with the police. The cause of the explosion is not yet known, but one thing is for sure is that normal operations at the bank will be suspended come next week as a result of the extent of the explosion. We await a report, at least a preliminary report from the firefighters to find out what may have caused the damage or what is the extent. But we have glass lying all over the streets, as it's quite evident. And I am standing at about 30 yards from the bank itself. And we have debris, we have glass lying all over the city center plaza driveway. So it evidently it must have been a loud explosion that really shattered the glass and twist door rails and stuff like that. So we await an official report, but for the time being, this is the situation here in Port Antonio, Portland.
All right, so Shells, you brought this to our attention today. What's the latest on this breaking news?
So the latest, they found a male at the back of the bank in the incinerator, and he is hospitalized and being treated. And coming from the police, they're saying that it appears to be criminal activity that would have caused the explosion and the damage done to the building is over $12 million.
So hold on.
Investigations are ongoing.
So this male, hold on, brother. So this male, is he a worker? Is he a security?
Leave the male alone. Leave the male alone. First of all, we know it's a criminal activity. No ATM now blocked by itself. Stop, Andrew. All them reach at 12. Stop now. All them reach at $12 million. The other money away so fast. $12 million. For
You
some
know,
glass and some door. Come on.
they don't know. They don't know that there's no update as to whether or not who the person that was found at the back of the building, who that person is. It's a double ATM.
Mhm.
So there are two ATM
And the money
machines.
blow up. And the
And
money blow up.
Money blow up too.
no,
And
I'm
the money blow
saying
up. Make it worth 12 million.
those things are expensive, Gio. The machines are not cheap. So it's a
Shells,
double.
all of them have
No,
insurance on
no,
them.
no, we're not. No, we're saying the damage. They're saying, remember, even the roof of the building is damaged, Gio, and the doors that you enter through, all of that is shattered. All of
All
that.
right,
So
Shells. What you are
we don't know.
going
So
am I?
look at it, so you can see for yourself.
Yeah, I feel like
It's so like some like when them did quote the amount for the houses that they
Exactly.
handed over.
Exactly.
I know, but I'm
our
just updating as Andrew asked me too.
Shells, is
Right? So
at minimum is a 1 bedroom that you want them to say 12 million. Come
you
on.
know what's funny?
that's the latest.
I am happy that no one apart from the gentleman that was found on the property, I'm happy that no one this didn't happen, during
Because
business hours,
that's it. Those ATMs, Andrew, are the only two ATMs that you can. So Scotia has four machines. Two by the gas station, a little bit up the road from where that place is.
Mhm.
Couple meters up the road, there are two other machines, but those cannot do deposits and socials things like that. But these two, when you see lines there, so if it wasn't for that time of the morning, I am certain that people it would have been way, way, way worse. So
At first
yes,
I thought
the time of the night is before dawn, so maybe that's
yeah.
why they chose 3 o'clock. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think they were trying to break, which is kind of dumb if you're trying to break the ATM and then put a bomb in it. I'm just saying, I don't know. Hope that's not a trigger word for Hype TV or for YouTube or Facebook. But why would you want to, then damage an ATM to the point where you can't salvage anything? That just
Watch
doesn't
too
make
much
any sense to
movie.
me. So maybe
All
it was an
right.
attack. Hold on, but maybe it was an attack on Scotia Bank. We'll never know. We're still waiting on reports. We're still trying to ascertain as to why this happened. But I'm happy that no one was injured, and we're still awaiting information on the man that was found in the back of the property. That's pretty much what we're waiting on. And Gio, you find this very funny. Gio is so insensitive though, and I'm being the devil's advocate tonight.
It
All
is
right,
man
let's
said.
move on because we have a lot.
No, wait, you were just a while ago. Maybe it was an attack on Scotia. Let me tell you, no
Maybe
Jamaican no
just
vexing of that much.
just
Let me tell
maybe.
you what go on. Let me tell you what go on. Them two, whoever did that, plus the gentleman who get catch, they
Mhm.
watched a show called
Money
Animal Kingdom.
heist. Oh, me think a money
Them,
heist.
no man, them watch Animal Kingdom and them see this late night heist. So them did do back in the day when them full up the ATM a little water and then put one explosive night and then boom, the pressurized explosion make it just shell out all of the dollars. But them never know say them didn't need the drill and the water and everything to go with the explosion. And that catch them man. Too much
Gio,
TV.
one thing though, Gio, please tilt down your camera because I feel like we're higher than you and we're not. We're on
Okay.
the same level. Please.
And
Tilt
you
down
know,
your
I feel it for them though, because me not tell like same time me there Jamaica, me drive come on your ends. At that ATM they alone me can get the money out of Me have to
Yes.
make the whole of a circle and go in that
Because
little one side
it's
right
the
so.
only one you get US from too. So currency. So
Exactly.
it is extremely a high what I call it now. The activity in it is so high because of that. The fact that it is so up to date and people can do
I
everything
see
there.
why I see why they would want to break it. But anyhow, I
Exactly.
mean it will definitely affect businesses and regular,
Look here, I am gonna have
people.
jitters every time I go into an ATM. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Because it
it is
just
going to
just the thought that
Mhm.
criminals, if it is indeed a criminal activity, and just the thought that people are you know thinking of doing these things in Jamaica, they're not trying over breaking it, yeah, we're not safe,
Yeah,
there's
that's
nothing on my mind, we're not safe, yeah.
crazy. That's crazy. It's very, very, very spooky. It's very crazy. You know what I mean? All right, let's move on with our other item right now. So this is what I want to talk about right now. So Betty and Blaine, she is pretty much calling on TikTok to help fix a situation in Jamaica. I don't really get it. But anyway, child activist Betty and Blaine has described a partnership between Hear the Children's Cry and social media platform TikTok as an advancement in protection of the nation's children. Blaine told Star that her organization reached out to TikTok after an infamous 14-year-old video of two 14-second video of two underage girls was posted on the platform. The girls were seen mimicking cunnilingus, to Shensia's Megan Thee Stallion sexual charged song lick.
A song which I might add was very lacking in lyrical content. What are the news?
So cunnilingus in a music video affected two underage girls to the point where they were so bold enough to try to reenact the stimulation of whatever genitals belonging to whatever gender. And you're going to call on TikTok to help to remedy the situation? I'm trying to make sense of this. What does TikTok have anything to do with it? How about starting with the yard first? Because wasn't TikTok a platform which was created to engage children? Or when it just started out, wasn't it a platform that you see a lot of children having their little, 14-second, 10-second videos being displayed on there? Am I missing something?
No, you're not. TikTok was formerly Musically. And Musically was literally like, it was plagued by children. It was just remember when it was out, like it was just all these kids doing all these different dances to different songs. Same way them have it right now. And the Chinese people buy it out. But there's data that shows that what they've been doing. So, and I Jamaica alone this affect, but them two little girls, they just them too fast, them too force right, and whole heap of things now going right now for them yard. But ultimately, them two little girls, they do that, just like spit in the bucket in relation to the actual militarization of children in like the US based off of TikTok. Like you had like actual hacker groups that were anti-government or establishments that were creating challenges that children would then go to school and enact and cause a whole heap of damage to property, hurt teachers and things like that. So now in the US they have this whole grave rash of things are going where anytime they see a child with a cell phone out, they assume that they're getting ready to record TikTok, and so they will actually be suspended. Those two 14-year-old girls now, that's something completely different. I keep saying
they were 14 or they're underage. I don't think they're 14.
Whatever they want to be. Like
it's 14-second. That's the number.
Yeah, my apologies. Yeah, the number just keeps sucking them in. Those
Mm-hmm.
two underage girls. The problem there is this, and I said it for a very long time. Children need phones that can ring and hang up and say, "Mommy, me depa mommy I come home." I can still send a text message or even a WhatsApp, or maybe not even that, but just can send a text say, "I'm on my way home." I can track the GPS line. Them don't need all this, fancy fandangle where can take all of these pictures and whatnot. They don't need that. I mean, no say Jamaica, so we still have phone and now take picture too good. The responsibility starts at home. You don't need to reach out to the platform because the platform is not God. They can't see every single instance of something that happens wrong on it. And they're like, oh yes, wow, like the most they can do is say, all right, we're going to ensure that the age limit is 18 plus, and it's not. On TikTok, I'm sure it is 16. And then aside from that, people lie. So children are smart these days. They're not going to make up an age and then go up on the platform anyways. Parents have a responsibility initially, and then they go outward after that. But if you can't police a picnic, like why TikTok supposed to police a picnic for you? Come on, man.
All right. I want to get Shell's reaction to that. Shells, do you think it's like talking to a dead horse or talking to a brick wall?
I wouldn't say that because these platforms are actually flagging a lot of things. And they set it up in a way where their watchdogs, if you even type in one word that's not appropriate in their quote unquote terms, they'll get rid of it. So appealing to the platform is good. But sometimes I think what the government can do is take the initiative that countries like China, I mean, also people are gonna say, want to call it again, like Cuba, where them under again?
Like the censorship.
Communist.
No, my communist. People are gonna say, oh, it's a
Communist, yeah.
communist way of doing things. But if it is that you have to shut down certain things, you shut it down until you're satisfied that, as Gio said, parents will take some form of responsibility. Now, this has come from really, really, really far, where we have seen videos where adults are actually recording the children doing things and then posting it on social media. We laugh and say nothing wrong, it's only music. And the persons who do the music say, here, I'm not responsible for raising a pitney. I am no influencer and I am nobody's role model. So don't hold me accountable for things that your children do, but they are the ones who put the content out there. Gone are the days when they used to only hear things in a certain dance, or you have to go in a club, go hear whatever, or only under certain circumstances your children would hear certain things. Gone are those days. Gio, when you're picking move out, remember, you know, and every parent technologically savvy, you know, my youth, and their children know more about these them phones and gadgets more than the parents. They have apps on their devices that they put to see it, that the parents will look and see it, and it's just looking at it, they cannot just see it. They would have to
Right,
know
right.
because it's hidden. So there's
So they have
so
some form of incognito way of
yes, of hiding
browsing.
it. So
Right,
there is
right.
so much that is wrong and so much that will have to be done to fix this. And now when a video you just come out, it's sick my stomach. I don't share things. That's the next thing with us. We get a video on our phone or a picture or something and we send it to the internet. Look on this. No, shut it down. Send it to
Exactly.
a police officer, send it to the CDA, send it to those persons who can do something about it. Well, get rid of it off of the internet. We are not acting as responsible adults. So
Right.
it starts somewhere, and I know TikTok can do something about it. Instagram, all those platforms can actually set the watchdogs to flag these videos. And if you notice, they're actually kind of catching on to the Jamaican dialect, because gone are the days when they used to be able to say some things on YouTube and get away with it. They're actually flagging videos now for certain things. So I don't know if them have anybody who understand our dialect, but maybe, you know, different ways, approaches can be taken.
All right. So let's go to a few of the comments because we have to wrap this up in another 2 minutes, and we have one more item before we get into our main discussion. And if you're just tuning in, guys, welcome. We're just going over some social views items that we want to talk about. So Andrea Million says that children activists, I guess they wanted to say, in Jamaica need to stop using outdated menus to tackle children problem. Based on what I see going on is that patterns and guardians need to take full responsibilities of them children. Parents need to be investigated and charged for negligence. Most nights while I'm on my way from work, children are on the street in Waterloo and Trafalgar Road working. Where are the children? Activists, I guess that's what they're saying, but they have activities. I'm hoping that that's what they meant. Leave TikTok alone. Parents' duties to monitor them picnic. I said it again. Parents are the main problem. One more user says that this woman uses her platform to do one big bag. Hey, Jamaicans no ramping or bridging. We as Jamaicans, we don't play when it comes to speaking our minds. You know what I mean? And I agree. Parents, let's start with the parents first. But I get what she's trying to do. And, you know, in sometimes we always say that, you know, Jamaicans, we're not proactive, but I think this is a proactive move to at least start censoring this type of content. So, Chelsea, you're absolutely right. I think it makes sense in the long run for, you know, them to kind of, you know, censor certain content, especially coming from, you know, Jamaica and the zone, especially in the Caribbean. All right, let's move on to this other item right now. Gio, I think you're going to chuckle at this one as well, because I think this one is funny. In fact, the comments are actually funny to me. That's what I think I find funny. Anyhow, so using agriculture and land-based therapy. Hold on, let me go back. It's just running a little ahead of me. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit tardy on that. Using agriculture and land-based therapy to disrupt violence and criminal behavior among young people is the main aim of the Positive Pathways Initiative Social Agriculture Program, which was officially launched in the community of Flanker St. James. We've seen this happen before, where they've tried sporting activities, they've tried social development, you know, movements and initiatives, and it just doesn't help. Will agriculture help? Will farming help? I guess they're trying a different pathway because the initiative's social group has actually tried that. But a lot of users are not really buying into it, while some are saying it's a good move. Gaza Girl Slimmer says that good move, though. Oh, sorry, good move through the inner city. Let's see. Inner city always get them type of social developments, but hey, we see where violence is still a big thing. Steph Lover says that every parish needs a community center with volunteers to help them figure out life. Out most of these homes only have mommy who either don't have a job or work in multiple jobs to survive, and she's not in the right place, in the right space to raise a man. So these volunteers would help to groom young men to become successful individuals. I don't want to read it any further. I just want you guys' reaction. Isn't like we're repeating the same thing over and over, expecting a different result? Because we have seen a lot of these initiatives being brought forward over the years, and we're not really seeing a change. I think a commenter even said that we're in flankers in the area that they're planning to launch this type of movement. There is no land space to even start farming. So
Exactly.
what's the aim? What's the aim? Really? We have
So
1 minute to kind of briefly discuss this.
It can be hydroponics or aeroponics. The different ways you can farm. I it's only a pity they didn't launch it in all 14 parishes. That's all I'm going to say. But something has to be done, guys. Something. And food have to eat. And I'm have to glamorize and glorify farming because too often it is seen and frowned upon as a not so attractive career choice for our young people. So when I knock it, I only hope that they maintain what they have started and it works.
all
Makes
right, so
sense.
let me come into like real serious frame. Um, COVID highlighted that agriculture definitely was the key, and yeah, obviously a whole heap of young people did start leave out agriculture because everybody want either run a town or run a farm. But what I hope that they do when they're going into this is to also bring in the business structure behind it to actually do. Because the funny thing is this, agriculture in Jamaica is now monopolized by major corporations, and most of the farmers who actually are deep in agriculture, they have contracts with hotels to provide them with food. So outside them, people have them contract locked in, and the businesses that are actually being run off of this. Small farmers are not necessarily rich with opportunity. So if you're going to do something like this, you need to actually have a business schema set up behind it where you can actually teach them how to leverage the produce that they're going to make, however they make it, after the fact. Don't just make sense. You tell them, oh, become a farmer and then yam back your food, because they need to see the financial benefit behind it so that they can decide, hey, you know what, I can create generational wealth instead of shooting after people to collect their money.
And they can also think about manufacturing as another aspect of it. There's so much they can do with it. So they structure it properly and present it in the best way possible.
All right,
Wish them all the best.
I am going to be doubtful Donovan and say I think it's pointless. It won't work. This is just another band-aid type of, approach. And of course, beat me up all you guys want, but I just feel like it's just another way of the Sporting Development Commission coming in and to say we're going to have round robin football, we're going to have rivals coming together and taking out their, rivalry and their negative energy on the field. And then as soon as the competition ends, 6 months later on, they're back out in the battlefield on the front line firing weapons again. And you notice they always target these areas that always have a flare up of violence. And then as soon as everything calm down, then they totally forget about that environment and they move along and then go about their business and then come right back again and repeat the cycle. That's just my opinion in this one. I mean, as Shell said, I hope it is something that will be long term and it will be benefiting everybody and all 14 parishes. It should be rolled out in. Of course, I agree. But hey, as I said, I'm being doubtful, Donovan. I'm being Donovan fortunate, so they can't call me Donovan. Anyhow, let's move on. All right, cool. So here we go. It is now time to get into our main discussion for tonight. And before I bring that up, I should have brought this up. Female influencers publicly bragging about being abused by their partners. Are some female social media influencers normalizing domestic violence? And is gossiping really outselling sex on social media? Those are our main two topics for tonight. And of course, I have a very interesting guest tonight. I'm going to be inviting her in as well. Her name is, I call her Yelly from Clubhouse, but she's a licensed marriage, family and marriage therapist, and she'll be talking to us about and giving us a professional perspective on these two topics here tonight. So, guys, welcome. Let's all welcome our very special guest for tonight, Yelly. I gotta call you
Hi
like that. It's
everyone.
a little bit
You can call
informally.
me Ellie. I prefer that. I
All right,
prefer that.
cool. But your name
Um,
is Miss Wright. I have to tell
right,
you.
exactly.
All right.
Thank you for having me. It's my first time on a podcast, so this is a little different. So I guess real quick a little bit about my background. As Andrew said, I'm a marriage and family therapist, which means I work with individuals, couples, families, you name it, I work with them. It's just kind of like a blatant term to say that I work with everyone. I've been doing this for like the last 4 years, and I definitely say my heart is in it. So I really appreciate you inviting me on here.
All right, cool. No problem. Thank you so much for coming by. Are you prepared for our discussion? Because we kind of go a little
Sure.
crazy sometimes. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
sure.
So thank you. So, all right, so let's bring that up again. There we go. There you guys have it. That's what we'll be discussing tonight. And the first thing tonight is this, of course. Family issues plague Queenie and Dewey. Shells, have you been following this story?
I can't escape it, unfortunately. But so yes,
Are you following it though? I mean, I know you can't escape it, but are
to
you following it?
some extent, I'm gonna be honest. I don't get into the nitty gritty like read all the articles or whatever. But I am. I think I have enough information to say I am up to date with what's happening.
All right, cool. So the Star made this post, and it says that following a one-sided argument in social media yesterday, fans of Queenie Lady Gangster are urging her to calm down and work things out with her husband Dewey. A month after celebrating their first wedding anniversary, she said Dewey walked out of their marital matrimonial home for several hours following a disagreement concerning her mother-in-law and his baby mama. So baby mother drama, family drama. That's what we're going to be discussing tonight. And of course, I have a few clips that we're going to be highlighting as well. People in the comment section, I want to hear from you guys as well. Of course, Hype TV. I know you guys can't really participate in Hype TV, but what you could do is to head on over to YouTube or Facebook, and of course, drop your comments in the comment section. I have been following the story, and it was yesterday, Shil, that I decided to say, hey, let me use this as our main discussion. Usually we say when they mix it, we fix it. And we're trying to fix it tonight. And this is why we have a licensed therapist in on the talk tonight so that she can give us, some professional insights and solutions moving forward. It's up to you if you will accept it. If not, then hey. But in Jamaica, we tend to misconstrue or mix or put everything under the umbrella of domestic violence. And first question to you, Yeli, is what's the difference between domestic violence and what you call it?
IPV, intimate partner violence.
Right, intimate partner violence. So kind of break it down to us
Okay.
or for us.
So I'm noticing that a lot of people just kind of call it domestic violence because they don't have the language. So just to kind of explain, IPV is intimate partner violence. That's strictly for romantic partners. Strictly for them, violence happens between them. Domestic violence is a little broader, where it could be family violence, it could be friend violence, it could be roommate violence. I mean, so on and so forth. So that is the clear difference. So if you hear IPV versus DV, it's supposed to be called IPV when it's romantic partners.
All right, cool, nice. So in this case that we're discussing now, it would be considered IPV and not necessarily domestic violence.
Correct.
All right, cool. All right, so I kind of get that, and thank you for
All
that.
right, Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
Quick interjection. Feel like people in my comments you only speak part, it mean when you only beat your woman and nobody else. That's it.
Or
Or your woman beat
woman
you
only beat,
and
right.
nobody else.
Exactly.
Right. So all right, so that's our main focus.
Thank you for the translation. I appreciate it.
You're real Jamaican. You're real Jamaican, All right, so let's go to this first item, because what we're going to do, we're going to play videos and then we analyze them, and then you give us, a professional perspective on these clips. Yeli.
Okay.
That's why we actually brought you here tonight. And then we, Gio, myself, and Shells, we're going to give our opinion or layman opinion on these videos as well. So I think the first one that I want to just give me a second, guys. Let me just bring this clip in. The first one I want to talk about is I think I'm going to stick with Queenie first, and then I'll move on to, because there's another one which is from a young lady named D Official, where she and her husband got into it, and she went on social media to cry for help, and then she and another social media influencer got into it. But that's just arguments that they've brought to the fore. All right, but Queenie definitely admit to hitting her husband, and this is our first clip that we're going to analyze, and then we discuss it.
Fight a clad funeral in here tonight. You have to answer black me something right every minute you're up on the phone with your mom. Every time you have something, you call your mom name. And say, I can't call her no. I say, call her then. Because it needs to start out. Him still not call her. Him a jail. Call me and not answer me. So I say, if it says a glass house I live in, I got mash up it. I make police come I have to get my satisfaction. So I force it out of him. For him said to me, say, my baby mother say, are you make me can't see my youth, and the only way for me see my youth is me and you left. Me take everything that's a offense, just the way you tell me, and the force of me have to force you to tell me. So I go like a lime tell upon the baby mother. I go like the excuse. You understand when
So
me really look into it?
after that you lick him.
Yeah.
Okay, and forget lick for that then.
What the you tell me, sir? When me say to him, say, a liar. I tell him me making a see a baby mother. Hear him now? Me used to see him before you come in my life. Me say, a liar. Tell your baby mother don't live in Jamaica. So I said, agree with him, agree. Me just run after with the cup. And him rush my back, and I saw me throw him on the bed, and him ease up off of my cars. And that's with him why you see me still choose the ignorant not ready. But if you do it, you see if him get ignorant him that beat out my and I said that's why I maintain, I respect him for that. So me not bother push the law. Me just go back at the doorway and barrage and now come out.
All right. Something about this video kind of have me away is when the lady on the bottom end of the screen says, "Oh, so that's why you lick him." Then him not deserve lick for that.
Yeah, man, if you get lick for that.
That part they kind of have me away. I mean, she's not involved in the relationship, but she's. I mean, guys, you realize that she's saying, "Hey, you deserve to get beaten for that." What's the cause of that? Shells, go ahead. Go ahead, Shells.
I was just gonna say, let's talk about the fact that a lot of persons on social media, there's no blasting of her doing that. If it was the other way around, I'm telling you that we would be having a different side to the conversation right now. We're normalizing women abusing men. We've been normalizing it for a long time. Why are the women talking about that and running around the bus for doing that?
I mean, Queenie kind of get a backlash a little bit, and we're going to play that video later on. But you're right, Shells. That is a part that kind of stood out to me, and I'm like, yo, whoa, hold up. Did she just say that? So is it that she's instigating? Is it that she's egging on? Is it that she's just saying that to create this gossip and to create this kind of negative space so that, it makes as if people are with Queenie so that Queenie could speak more? I mean, that wasn't her life. That was Queenie's life anyway. So it's not like she's trying to, chase clout from that. Maybe she could be chasing clout from that, but I just
see that particular young lady, Andrew, like she actually is one of those people. I've seen one other live with her before where she was interviewing somebody. She kind of
same lady.
She came to some notoriety for something that she did, and she frequently does lives and talk to other people who are in the influencer space. So yeah, it was a clout chasing experiment, and at the same time, I find it that it all has to do with the lines drawn culturally, the fact that we are Jamaican, nothing else but that, right? And a whole heap of Jamaican women have tied themselves into this old-fashioned way of thinking that men are supposed to be steel and we're supposed to just be hard and that we're not supposed to do anything. Women are supposed to say whatever they want to say, and if they do anything, we just take it because we're a man. And ultimately what it boils down to is if a man is emotionally in tune and you express yourself, you're a mama man, you're a sissy. And if you get beaten and you talk about it, well, you're a laughing stock, you're not helped. And that's an issue. That's an actual issue.
Right. All right. So, Yeli, listening to that video clip, how would you respond to that as a therapist?
So to Queenie specifically, or the person
Right.
she was on live with?
Well, hey, screw the personal line
Okay.
because we
Okay.
already discussed that. We're talking about Queenie.
So one, I'll just set the tone and say we all need to keep our hands to ourselves, man or woman, right? So when I talk to couples, I talk about provoking one another. I talk about how do we give each other space, right? So if you're in a relationship, obviously you're going to have problems. And I don't agree that physical abuse is the way that you handle them, right? If you can't handle them, get a mediator, get a therapist, separate from each other for a little bit to give each other space, but definitely don't invade one another's space because I don't think that's helpful. And just to the point of the girl that responded to her and said, "Oh yeah, he deserved that." Nobody deserved to be hit at all. So that's just my spiel.
All right. In terms of like what's really going on in her mind? Is it that because all right, first of all, let's talk about the age difference because there's obviously a huge age gap between G and her husband, right? How often do you see these type of clients coming into you? Or like how would you treat a situation like this should it come in front of you as a case?
So don't get those clients that often. I hear about them a lot through colleagues. But as far as the age difference goes, there's a lot. There's maturity involved. There's experience involved. I find that she's at an age where maybe she's had certain experiences that have certain expectations, but because he's younger, maybe that's not what he's on, right? So I think we have to bear that in mind that we're in two different life cycle stages, and that how do we find the balance in between the two of those? That's pretty much what I would do, like as a clinician working with them, finding out how do we find the common ground, if it's even possible.
So usually these relationships last, or you can't say for a fact?
I can't say for a fact. Some do, some don't. I really just kind of find based on, like I just said, right, the balance. How do we find the balance? If the balance is not found, ongoing conflict is going to lead to separation.
What are the pros and the cons?
So pros, right? So maturity, of course, is a big one. Experience can be looked at as a pro or a con.
All right, hold on.
Be,
so let's slowly break it down. So for maturity, meaning that because she's far, older in terms of age, there's a huge gap. She's in her 50s. He's maybe in his late 20s, 30s, right, Shells?
I don't know how old he is, but
yeah, I think he's in his early the 30s. So she's probably 20 years, let's say 23 years older than him. She could be his mother. She might have kids, old as or older. So that's where the maturity thing might play a role, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
So maturity, stability, right? Because you would assume that someone of that age would be stable, right?
Stable when financially, mentally? What do you mean?
Financially, mentally, lifestyle-wise, stable, not like all over the place, just kind of living a simple life, right? On the other side of that, though, right? Cons, as I said, right? We're in two different spaces in life. What you'd be doing at 40 and 50, what I'm doing at 20 and 30 is very different, right? What I'm looking for in my life, he's probably just launching, right? He sounds like he had a child or had a child before. And then versus, as you said, right, she might have older children. I don't really know much about them, but just to compare the two, right? So there's launching a family and there's, hey, my kids are already launching out the house. I want to live my single life, right? And then again, right, there comes baggage. And I think I kind of heard that in the video where you've got a baby mother in this situation. Now there's drama, right? So the baggage comes with drama. So, I mean, I think the list goes on. It really just kind of depends on who we're talking about. But I think the main two, like I said, pros are maturity and stability. And like I said, cons, experience can kind of be looked at as both. And then, as I said, the baggage that comes with the age difference.
All right. See where we have Carrie and Phyllis, where she says that that's why she keeps wanting him to grow up and be responsible.
Absolutely. That expectation, even though they're in two different life cycle stages. She's at an age where she's mature, right? So she's expecting something from him that maybe he's not capable of right now. And that's the reality. I think we set expectations for people without actually seeing if they're capable of handling it.
Right. Gio?
Can I respond for a second? Oh, yeah, I already did. All right. So what I say is this, right? It's a difference in this particular situation. It's a difference between maturity and just being older. Because Queenie set herself aside by being an influencer from when Queenie is a 50-something year old well, even in her 40s, in her late 40s, Queenie have videos of her going viral on social media where she had, well, stone, well, not necessarily stone, but with mango. People shop because them catch her as stealing and so. So in relation to maturity, like, see, what I look at is older women, younger men dating older men, younger girls dating. This thing that I like to think of like a generational dissonance where them just not gonna meet because I have certain things that I've already achieved, and whereas I'm getting to my rest stage in life, you are get to your stage where you just a start. In this particular case, both of them I feel like set up on the same hill because she set herself aside as being an influencer, and she is just as immature as many young women just based off of the different videos that went viral for her. And at the same time, I saw this one video of him when he was running across some poles or something like that, and I was like, what grown man, like, no matter how when would I find myself a skip cross some pole for get posted on social media? I was like, the two of them are just two people who have no actual direction in life in terms of like a responsible gauge for where they should be headed. They're aging, but there's no maturity in the process. There's no actual responsibility being displayed across the board by any of the two of them, from me.
Got it. Shells.
And that's typically where the connection comes from. Not to cut you off, Andrew, but because they're kind of meeting each other halfway, right? As you said, they're kind of in the same bracket.
Right.
And that's what brought them together, really.
Well, yeah, they always say like attract like, you know. So yeah, that definitely makes sense. Shells, is there anything you want?
I realized a lot of persons have this savior mentality, and a lot of women like to save people's boy children.
Right.
And yeah, we have big men who act as boys because he's 31, 31, 32, somewhere there, young, old enough to be mature. And a lot of women love to save men. And maybe it's the savior era complex in her, while she thinks that she can actually save him and turn him into a quote unquote man. And the other side of it is that a lot of things are done for social media. Queenie makes money from social media and being popular and whatever else. And that is the reason why they put a lot of their lives out there, because it generates views. And in the same instance that there are, the clout is there and they have the views and everybody clicking on, they're making money. So maybe it satisfies and comforts them that at the end of the day, regardless of the fact that they may have some amount of emotional damage, the money will suit them over because they're getting paid to do all of this. So, and that is the other side of it. We the consumers of whatever is going on is I think even some of us may have emotional issues from all of this trauma that you face when you go on social these things, because you don't know whether or not they're going through something real in their lives, or if it's just a show put on to gain more views and to make some more money off of us, because the more we view it, the more money they make. So we don't know, and that's the other side of it.
All right, I want to replay this clip just a little bit so that we can hear the intro or the first minute of the clip, and then I have something to ask you guys.
Fight our clad funeral in here tonight. You have to answer clad me something right every minute you're up on the phone with your mom. Every time I have something, you call your mom name and say, I can't call her no. I say, call her then, because it needs to start out. Him still not call her, him a jail. Clap me and not answer me. So I say, if it says a glass house me live in, I got mash up it. I make police come I forget my satisfaction.
All right, pause it right there. I forget my satisfaction. Obviously, this woman has, mental issues in terms of she having to deal with her anger issues. That's what I'm talking about. And emotionally. And to me, and Gio kind of touched on it. I think it's Gio or Shell's kind of touched on it. Somebody touched on it to say she's pretty much, expecting him to, it's not even said to expect him. What I get from it, I'm going to say it straight out. I feel like she's trying to control the young man. And this sounds a little bit controlling to me when she said it's either F, which is to have intercourse, or funeral or whatever. So she gave me ultimatum. She said, yo, dog, talk to me or not. And if you not talk to me right now and give me what me want, me or you in here, I go fight. And to me, whether or not it's a young man who's 32, who's 23 years or 22 years younger than her, I feel like she would have approached it in a similar way if it was a case where she was talking to an older man. Yelly, as a therapist, how would you deal with, a couple coming in and complaining about this particular situation?
Mm-hmm. So whenever I see couples in general, I always go to family of origin because I feel that you are the way you are because of the influence that you grew up around. So before anything, I would see them separately in sessions to try to understand them as individuals, to have a non-biased approach, of course. And then once I kind of gather information about their background, I then begin to like conceptualize and form an understanding of why they are the way they are now. So one thing that'll probably come up when I'm having like that joint session is what does control mean for her, right? And what does distance mean for him? Because she seems like she's pursuing him and he seems like he's distancing himself. So that's kind of like the beginning stages of therapy where we do some work around family of origin, upbringing, what the expectations are, does control mean for her? Does she realize she's doing that? Because sometimes we don't realize what we're doing. It's normal for us. And I think when we add social media into the mix, it's normal to want to put on a show for people. So I think that's a big part of her show.
So she obviously needs therapy.
Absolutely.
And not only a marriage and family counseling, she probably needs some form of deeper, psychological.
She has her own personal like traumas going on, it sounds like, because why behave like this? Where did this come from? Who gave the green light for this, right? Who's enabling this behavior? I mean, ultimately he is, but someone was doing this before now, because as you know, right, she's been on YouTube and doing all kind of videos before this, basically displaying extreme behavior. Where did this come from? This has always been a part of her. It's just exacerbated now that she's in a relationship with someone.
I mean, she has actually spread out her entire bed and her laundry and everything on social media. Correct me if I'm wrong, Shells or Gio. I mean, we've heard it where she this is not her first rodeo where she has dated a younger person and they break up. This is probably her second public relationship, or maybe her third, but I can't remember one prior to this. And it ended, well, they weren't married. They were probably getting, planning on getting married, maybe engagement or whatever. But it looks as if she has an issue with keeping a partner, or partners having an issue with her, as an
I'm
individual.
even thinking a step further, right? And thinking, okay, if you're attracted to younger men, right? Is there a need to be needed? Because when I think of, and this is no judgment at all, when I think of older woman, younger man, I think of trying to mother him, right? And you need your mom, right? You want your mom. So how do I keep him wanting me? Mothering him, nurturing him, controlling him.
She did allude to that, because at one point she stated things that she did for him that his mother never did. Getting him his passport and everything else, like she did his paperwork and she takes care of him as a mother would.
And now she's putting her hands on him. She's beating him, right? So
exactly. So she did, and this has always been her personality. From I've been aware of her on social media, and she's been, as Gia said, for years, and she's always been like this, aggressive and loud, and all those things. I mean, like Queen, I'm not try to beat her down, so I don't want to stay on here.
Right.
Like her for being that forthright person who speaks her mind. But in the same breath, we have seen behaviors from her over the years that are so unbecoming. And then she's lost her daughter, and she's still dealing with that. So, maybe she needs some grief counseling along with that too, because maybe she needs the support of her husband and shouldn't be dealing with this particular time going through this, So this is a rough patch for her. It's just a pity that it's been played out on social media.
Sorry about that, Charles. I wasn't trying to interrupt you. My apologies. I think it might be an attempt to replace the love that was lost with love that she can actually maintain, because she lost her daughter and then she's trying to hold on to something. So hence the whole feeling of being wanted. But Andrew, I caution you, sir, don't say the word open when you're talking about Queenie. Okay? Don't.
All right. My bad. Let's move on to the second video.
I know I try one different method, so I start begging.
All right. So in this video, what I gather is she's trying to, she's searching for an answer. She's trying to figure out what's her next move. Let's take a listen, and then we can, analyze it a little bit deeper, and then you guys give me your reaction to this. And of course, Yeli, I'd like your professional reaction to this video.
So I say, no, I try one different method, so I start beg him now. So I say, do it. All right. You can only have one mother, one baby mother, and one son. Hear the deal now. I'm going to set you free, because I love you. But don't do nothing that make me feel paranoid. Don't make no decision, because if anything, I may have to sign for you, or you have to sign for me. Some of the year I preach. So I give him all kind of excuse, all kind of assurance. I say, do it the way you speak to me, I don't like it. I can hear that bitterness in you. And the fact that me see you unhappy, it's going to make me not happy. Because we're a part of somebody I beg him not answer. When I'm say him not answer, I say, do it. You care about me? Him not answer. I said a second time him answer. The third time I said, so wait. I said, down, bad. Somebody that assure me, I said, do me tell you something. Me glad you come to England. I'm want you better yourself. So it's no matter what happened. Me not go up on internet go disgrace you. All me I beg you for Lego that every art you have in front in you. Because me know my husband. I say do me study you. Something is not right. Lego that every art and forgive me because me don't do nothing maliciously. Me do it for protect my relationship. Him still no answer. So I say, wait, may I ask you if you not care about me, you not answer. Here what I say to the man now, I know I'm going to come live. What are your aim and your ammunition for me and you? But you know him reason level slow. Him say, me not have no aim and no ammunition for me, you know. So I say, break it down to me. Because that one answer can have different meaning, two different meaning. You can mean you don't have no aim and ammunition towards me maliciously, or you can mean you're not interested. So you don't have no aim and no ammunition. Break it down. Him not break it down. Him tough like what iron. Then me love doing more than my black self. Ready? For force for a man to care about me, whether that show care, when I feel care, well it at end, whether I did real or fake, me did enjoy it. Well, me not enjoy it now and I don't want to enjoy it, ready? Me not in another marriage where me alone I fight for. Me have to see I fight for climb for my fight for you. You understand where I reach me ready?
All right.
True.
I am trying to figure out what is she saying. First, let me go to Yelly. Yelly, as a therapist, what are you what do you make of all of that? I mean, Shells and Gio are laughing because I know why they're laughing. The ammunition and whatever.
Yes, yes,
that's
exactly.
a part, seeing which
Mhm.
I kind of get it. But what do you make of all of this?
Well, I feel like she's projecting. She's not dealing with her own stuff, projecting onto him that something's going on, not realizing she can probably be weighing on him. As you said, right? He has his mother, he has his baby mother, he has her, and now she's kind of trying to force and control him to give him some sort of answer. And to be honest, that's not going to go far, which it didn't, right? Because he doesn't seem like he wanted to answer or respond. And then I think I know what she meant when she was saying aim. What she said, aim and ammunition. I think you're trying to see like where do you see us going in a relationship?
Right.
I'm assuming is what she's trying to say.
Right.
I don't think he sees anything right now because again, the pressure is on. They live together now, right? They were separated for a little bit. Now they're see me and come live with me, right? You know the difference. So I think he's experiencing that and saying this is not it.
And that's very unhealthy for any common sense. That's unhealthy
Absolutely.
for any relationship. How would you then try to counsel them?
So honestly, I would probably advise them to give each other space, separate from each other because it's the heat of the violence right now, right? There's a lot of friction. They're not having like casual arguments at this point. Like it's pretty heated right now. And separating them, I would see what is your dedication to this marriage, right? Why did you even get married? Like now I want information on how you met, why did you get married, what's your motivation to stay together, if there's any, because we need to know what we're working toward first. I don't see any couples unless I know the goal is to be together. If the goal is not to be together, I got to see you guys separately then. There's no point in us doing couples therapy if the goal is to separate. So I have to find that out right out the gate. I don't even know where they're at right now. She's cursing him out. She's hitting him. He's, I guess, taking it essentially, right? Not saying anything, not responding to her, and then storms out, doesn't want to be there. What are you saying to me?
So he's pretty much doing what you would suggest post all of that argument whenever they visit you. He wanted that break, but he's not communicating that very clearly.
He needs to communicate. That's where he's going wrong. He's not communicating.
But I think based on what she's saying and based on what we've heard, because what I'm doing, I'm doing bits and pieces, you know what I mean? And we're trying to put the puzzle together psychologically and emotionally.
Sure.
What is out there, and a lot of people
Mhm.
are actually watching now. They know the full story based on what is put out there, and it sounds
Right.
as if he wants a break, and
Mhm.
she's not allowing him to take a break. And to me,
Mhm.
that's also a form of abuse. And as you said, they're
Yes.
not communicating. There's no clear line in terms of
Mhm.
communication to say, hey, I need a break. She feels as if him wanting a
Mhm.
break is him saying, hey, I'm about to leave, or there's something.
Mhm.
Because what does she mean by, I mean, I know you can't, you know, figure out what's in her head, but what she
Mhm.
tells Angie, one of the things she mean by when she said, don't do nothing, that would make me paranoid because me have to sign for you and you have to sign for me. I'm trying to figure out where was she going with that.
See, that part for me, I can't really figure out because the sign for thing like I don't know what scenarios she could be
Could,
possibly
could
painting
she
a
be trying to
picture for.
manipulate him psychologically to say, hey, I'm responsible for you?
That
I
could
married
be the
you. We're on
case.
paper.
That
Yeah.
Right,
could be the
right,
case. It could be
I
right.
the
brought you
matter
here.
of hey, because as a matter of fact, when you get to England, you don't just get citizenship because you married someone. You get
Mhm.
temporary residency, and then based on that person's continuing vouching for the relationship as it stands, they sign for you, and then it is continued again until whatever point they decide that they're going to actually make you a citizen. Right? So you are always at risk still nonetheless. But something that came to
Hold
mind for
on,
me is
hold
like
on. Sorry, you're going to talk about the comment or wait a sec, something that came to
no, no,
mind?
no, no. So something that came to mind as I was
Okay,
thinking about it.
my bad.
You have a category of individual, right? That's known as a highly sensitive person. It's not necessarily something that you can cure, but it's something that exists. I myself, I fall into that category. See, when you're met with a high stress scenario, you don't necessarily want to answer the question. What you want to do is you want to remove yourself from it completely.
Mm.
It's something that you don't want to have to deal with. It literally feels like there's 500 pounds on your shoulder and you don't know how to actually communicate that you're feeling that. So your fight or flight responses just say, and you just go because what you're
Mhm.
trying to do is relieve that tension from yourself. You see, because we come from a society where mental health was never necessarily at the forefront of anybody's things.
Mm.
Like when I was a child, before me to find out that me have ADHD, a doctor tell my mother, say, my practice man, don't give you no sugar, and this was a doctor. But he was not a clinician, he wasn't a therapist or of any kind. But that's all he could say. So we have to understand that a lot of us, even though we're in a 2022 now, you would think that we'd realize that there's still some foundation, groundbreaking work that needs to happen in Jamaica where we need to take things from the mud, where we did start, and start to fix
Mhm.
things. We can't look at all these people and try to just toss certain responsibilities on their shoulders and think, even myself there, I talk and I sound eloquent when I'm saying things, but I know that I have my own issues that I still have to deal with. And you can't just toss all of these things when people are thinking they're going to grow up
Mm.
because you put them in a situation where they need to. You're not going to just like all of a sudden blossom and become the butterfly when you just yesterday didn't know yourself as a caterpillar. So a lot could be going on for him, just like a lot could be going on for her. And because she has not done a journey of self-healing for herself, she can't want to rely upon this love that she try bringing an import for say, oh, it's going to fix her situation. Just not going to happen just so. Everybody have to take accountability for them own self and try to fix themselves so they can bring themselves to the whole as a better person. You
Mhm.
can't beat that out of somebody. You can't slap them and think say the slap where you slap them and change. As a matter of fact, they're going to have an adverse effect.
The total opposite. I agree.
Mm.
Shells, what do you make of her last video?
And to add to what you said, Jay, about fixing, a lot of times we try to fix our outward appearance and would never, because of the culture and how we're socialized, would never spend a dollar and go see somebody that can fix, our mental. But we would do everything, wear the best of clothes and do the best of everything
Mm.
except fix our mental. And I had this conversation with a group of young lady last night. They never even know me. I could discuss this. And I'm trying to let them know that men and women do have conversations differently. Men communicate differently than women do. And sometimes as women, we just have to learn to just shut up,
And
sit
listen.
down, and just not sometimes not even listen. Give the men their space because they want to handle things the way they handle things, and we can't want for them to do things the way we want it. And sometimes we run our mouth to the extent where we run people away from us. We run the men away from us because we just talk a little bit too much, because we don't know how to communicate sufficiently either. We just don't know when to keep quiet and allow people to process things their way, because he is going through something too. He cannot see his child because he's in England and his child is in the US. More than likely has nothing to do with Queenie, but it's just the distance. And then he has his mother who is he may be respectful of. So many things that he may be trying to deal with. And more than likely, I talk about the savior complex, where because she take him, his mother never make him travel yet, and she make him travel, and she did this to him and did that for him. Now she wants her repayment. She wants to be praised and glorified, or whatever it is, that satisfaction that people get when they do things for people and have expectations. So that's the thing. She expected what she expected, and the fact that she's not getting what she expected is having her the way that she is right now. So that's what she meant. She bring him there, and him should be careful how him tread water, because whatever he's gonna do is gonna reflect on her and can either make them sink or swim. That's what I get from it.
Also, it could be a case where stress, with acclimatizing and all of that, and trying to make a transition both culturally and a different place, a different environment, a different vibe for him, things that he would probably accustomed to going down the street to play some dominoes or kick some football, so those things can take a toll on him, I think psychologically too as well, where he's feeling a little bit pressured, because based on what we've heard is that he's not allowed to be free and roam. And I can get it.
To that point, Andrew, what you just said perfectly. Him being in foreign territory and understanding this is not Jamaica, where if I feel like, say, oh, she slapped me and I want to react, I go react, and chances are it's going to have minimal effect. Him know, say, if there's somewhere where if me clap her back, I fear her turf this, there's nothing what me can do to stop them, and when them come through from scoop me up and carry me go where them and carry me go and deport me. So the restraint that she praised him for displaying may have been,
we have that video,
really checking himself.
Hold on, we have that video.
We can't do it.
All right, we have that video to play as well. Let's go over to the comment section. We're interacting tonight. Carrie Phillips says that Queenie has gone through a lot more than the regular person. If you should just listen to her life story, you'd hear it. And Shell said that she rated her, and it's true. I've listened to her stories. I mean, she has been with, I think he's an alleged drug dealer or whatever. He was mixed up in something. He died. I mean, she, so she's been through a lot. Trust me, she's been through a lot. Queen Shaq Pinnock says, in all honesty, most of not all of us need therapy, which is true. I agree. Of course. Gio even always beating chest and say, yo, Ray, I had to get therapy as well, so it's not a big deal, in terms of hiding it, which is neglect or never supported in our society, which is true. Tamara Hilton says that Dewey is ungrateful. We'll talk about that a little bit more as to why you think that he's ungrateful. I'm just going through the comments, all right? Carrie Ann says, again, she got with him when she lost her daughter. And I think that's another way. Some people grieve differently. Some people tend to find a shoulder to grieve on. That was before, right? It was before. Okay, thank you, Chelsea.
But it was happened in the early stage of their marriage. About 6 months or so into their marriage, somewhere there, when it happened. So, yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. Tamara says that she took a leap of faith getting married to him, and she expected him to give her love and support that she desires. He's not man enough to do that. But you see, now we are judging it based on what we're just seeing. I wouldn't say that he's not man enough to do that.
Exactly, because he treated her extremely well, and that is the reason why she got married to him. So, I don't think she got married to him because of the social media effect of it, because she shared everything about her life. Every minute you look on social media, there are things that he did for her, but the man never do for her yet, so it excited her. So I wouldn't play it as if the relationship was not real, especially from her side. And I don't know the reason why he treated her well, but there's a lot going on between both of them. And let's not push his feeling aside or what's going on in his life aside, because Queenie is the one that is speaking out and we are not hearing from him.
You see,
so I want to just add to that really quick, not to cut you off, Andrew.
Nah, you're not cutting me off. Okay. You are our guest, so you'll always have the floor.
I want to be clear to everyone listening, right? It is not up to anyone to fix you. Your partner cannot fix you. You have to access your own healing. When you're projecting, that's stress on your partner. You have to take that separately and deal with that.
Break down projecting. Support you? Hold on. Break down projecting first.
Let's rewind. Projecting. I'll give an example. I went through 10 bad relationships and now I'm with you. So I'm using their fat to fry you, basically, right? I'm making you feel everything that I've experienced, and you have nothing to do with this. You're the perfect person I need right now. You're supportive to me, but as soon as my head chip, you reap everything that everybody has done to me, basically.
Thank
That's
you.
what projecting is.
I mean, I just wanted to break it down
Yeah.
for us, you know what I mean? So that we
Mhm.
fully
Yeah.
understand, you know, what it is.
Right.
Continue. Mhm.
So, like I said, you can't fix the person. So, as much as you want to be there and support them, they gotta figure that out on their own. There's literally nothing you can do other than to hold their hand through the process, if you even want to. Right? That's all a choice. And I don't want anyone to feel like your partner has to be there through your healing either. That's a heavy load. That's not their responsibility unless they want to be there with you. And I, again, very common with couples. You feel like, oh, I went through this, so this person needs to treat me better than that person did, or this person needs to make up for what that person didn't do. No, that's a heavy load. That's not their responsibility. So I think we got to erase that narrative.
Interesting. Thank you for that. Karen Flip says he was her strength. Here we go again. And it's so funny how you mentioned that. And here comes this comment. He was her strength when she was down. She really likes him, but she might be a little bit more than he can handle, even though they are the same. Only Kerry can explain that in a little bit, you know, more detail for us. But I get what she's saying pretty much. Tamara Hilton is actually speaking about a conversation that we spoke about earlier, Yeli, about, you know, communication and saying what are your expectations, you know,
Yes.
moving here,
Yes.
can you handle it, moving away from your mother, moving away from people that you are used to hanging out with, and all of that. She's saying that these type of conversations should be had prior to them.
Exactly.
Premarital counseling.
Mhm.
And people don't really always believe in that, or they might go to like a pastor or whosoever, but I'm a firm believer in that, because again, things might come up that you don't agree with before you're tying it out with this person, right? So I'm going to advise anyone to do premarital counseling.
I mean, even after marriage, you're still having problems with certain
Oh,
things.
sure. Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
Jeannie trying to be funny. Would Jeannie say, I wonder if my relationship has any ammunition? How much you want?
Listen.
Jeannie, pick up himself. Tamara says that people are afraid to being called crazy and mad, going to a therapist. And that's true, especially in our space in terms of Jamaica. You know what I mean?
So I'm going to ask you guys a question then, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we, because obviously we're having this conversation, right? Lift that negative stigma as a community, right? Coming from a Jamaican culture. Now that we're in this sort of day and age, right? How do we do our due diligence to try to erase it?
Being bold and being upfront about it, like how, you know, Gio and I, we always come on here and speak of our experience, and that, you know, it is okay to get counseling. It feels good. It helps.
See, I feel like it has to come from a place where you have to put real logistical effort into it. Like you have to create certain campaigns
100%.
aimed at the people so that they can understand. Because the thing is, in Jamaica, everybody goes across the board like this. If you're on the street and you're homeless, that what is dirty boy that, or a lazy, or all these different things are, you're just a crackhead. I remember through my experiences like feeding homeless people in Jamaica, I got to understand some people were homeless out of genuine circumstance. House burned down, never had any relatives, and they just ended up where they were. Some people definitely did abuse drugs and ended up in situations there, but some people had trauma that laced everything that just continued to layer on top of it, and then they just ended up in those situations. And some people, they are not homeless, but they live in an environment that fosters like growth behind the trauma that they experience, to the point that it becomes normalized, where you come up with the old Jamaican adage where women say, if him beat me, can him love me. Or some women that say like, if them man that deal with them rough, them not feel like him love him. Like when they normalize things like that, you have to literally look and be like, no, you actually have something wrong with you. But we have nothing aimed at these communities to tell them that you are not okay, and it is okay to not be okay.
Right. Shells.
Absolutely.
Before I say what I'm going to say, Jamaica have two ways of approaching being mad. Because Jamaica will tell us, ramp with me, no come here, no good. You might know some are mad. Understand? And that part of it is glorified.
A
But
badge
we
of
are the
honor.
same who disown our relatives. All the people who are mentally challenged, whether they're on the street or not, they have relatives. They are related to people. They have family members, sons and daughters who pass them on the street like they don't know them because they don't want to be affiliated with mad. Because that's the only picture of somebody being mad that we have. We don't talk about having mental challenges. We don't talk about depression and other things that we go through. That is mental instability, and try to normalize it. Influencing is where a lot of it will come from. And I saw the comment, Andrew, and I'm going to add influencing. A lot of what and who we are came from us being influenced by somebody else. And when those persons who are influential normalize that mental illness and being mentally unstable and seeking professional help for when you're feeling depressed or for when you're feeling anxious and what you're going through, grief and your sadness lasts a bit too long. We see somebody in one house, so they lost a loved one, and for everything that it is, it's been 6 months now and the person is still showing signs of grief and sadness, and we don't take it up in hand and try to do something about it. When we start normalizing something there, neighbors start to talk to neighbor and family members start to talk to each other about not feeling well and taking it serious and getting help is when it's gonna. So all the people who are in social media, who are influential, can make it happen because they can say what they are going through and how they sought help for it. And people will get there. They'll get there.
Definitely. Thank you, Cheryl. Samantha says that Queenie loves her husband, but she needs to stop venting on the internet and speak to someone who she looks up to, because Dewey, I guess, doesn't like the media. He always speaks about not wanting to come on the media, but he met her being a media person. So I think, I can't tell her to stop because, and that's like projecting again, because I don't like it. I want you to stop. You know what I mean? I don't think that's fair. She could probably curtail it. She could probably fix it or whatever. They need to have that discussion. They need to communicate that. And I am sure the thing is, there's another thing I call it, I don't know if it's actually a term, but I call it loud communication, and there's silent communication. Meaning that if I hint at something, say, hey, Yelly, I don't like that. I don't like when you do that. That's me saying to you indirectly, can you stop doing that? Some of us, we ignore a person's choice and decision, and even when we try to express ourselves, you know what I mean? So sometimes maybe she's also being a little bit inconsiderate as well, you know what I mean, to what he likes from what he dislikes. So at the end of the day, I agree. She can probably, I won't tell her you can't, because certain words I learned that you don't use. You can't and shouldn't. I don't project that. I don't put that on people. We could suggest that, she kind of hold on in terms of the appearance and, on social media, and pretty much kind of, venting so hard. All right, let's move to another clip that I want to play. And let's see if we can dissect this. I played the one where she was fighting for her relationship. Let's see if this one,
Fight up. Glad funeral in there tonight.
Okay. I played this one before. My bad, guys. I didn't have them in terms of sequence. So I'm just going through the list and trying to find them. Okay, all right, cool. So here is Queenie reacting to the media backlash, because first she came out and she sold a story that she was being abused by her husband and he was being ungrateful. At first, when she broke the story, guys, she didn't mention hitting her husband. Dewey hasn't put his hands on her all now. And she even admitted it in a past video that we played, where she said, okay, he restrained himself after I hit him with the glass. So really and truly, in this particular case, I don't think he was physical towards her. Maybe he was being a little bit emotional or physical abusive towards her, but physically, it didn't get physical on his part. But this is how she reacted to the backlash that she was getting on social media. Let's take a listen.
Understanding, words very powerful. A king protect his kingdom, and a queen protect her king. And me not bring no harm to my husband. I say all who feel like someone can justify my situation for me. A whole heap of woman, I think 98% of the woman living a domestic abuse, and because of shame, on the tongue tie and twist, I am the speaker for a lot of woman. Girl power. A whole heap of every burden I carry. A whole heap of time I see some of this discriminate me and this judgment. And I look on the this part, but I don't see the great part. Well, me stand up for my greatness. Because I believe in it. You see, all on the but what they do and do it. When I can't go take him, because I make sure I mess up everything. I mess up for mess up. This too shall pass. It is well in my soul. Ladies, life is a circle. Give God thanks. And don't think say nobody life I go stay one way. Me say worse than this lick me and me turn up strong. Roro, R.I.P. in the name of the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit. 3 of my lucky number. And I feel so comfortable and release out. And it's showing us say nobody not perfect. Nobody life not perfect no matter what. Because all of the sweet nice talk and when you need that chat me and some me say me nah make that happen. Even last night I said me nah put you up on Instagram you know, because me disgrace and I got disgrace. I said, boy, you see in here so I couldn't keep it no longer. But I said, vomit it out! May I grieve. And I fight me on top of my grieve. I fight on the back in the name of Jesus.
All right. The last part was kind of funny when she beat her chest and said she have vomited out. That's her. That's always her.
Mm-hmm.
But did it come off to you guys as if she's trying to pass blame? She's trying to, blame Dewey for whatever happened, why she hit him, based on what I was saying to her, based on what I've been hearing from her in the video, especially the part where she says that, who want him can take him, and nobody can justify blah blah blah, and she did talk about something that's very important. We're going to talk about that later in terms of females hiding their abusing their relationship. So is it a case where she's saying that she was standing on her feet because he didn't want to answer her? He wasn't forthcoming with answers questions that
Am I the only
she
one
makes sense?
isn't
Andre,
hearing
you're
everything
freezing
Andrew's saying? Okay, good.
Yeah, you're freezing up.
Am I back?
Yep.
Yes, you are.
I'm gone again?
No, you're here.
What was the last thing you guys heard?
Is it the case that we...
All right. Okay, so what I'm saying is she still blaming Dewey? Is she saying it's Dewey's fault why he got his forehead busted?
I mean, it sounds like it. But it also, I want to backtrack really quick, right? So I know we're talking about physical abuse, but I need to make this clear to everyone. There's emotional abuse as well. And I think she's emotionally abusing him. And everything she's saying, she's manipulating the situation as well. Because look at how she's speaking, right? And from my understanding, right, he has not put hands on her whatsoever.
Well, in this last case, yeah.
Right, in this last case, right? I don't know prior to this, but in this situation, these clips that you're sharing, I don't know of him to be abusing her at all. But I can see the emotional abuse that she's kind of projecting onto him by him not answering. And now she has control of his life essentially, right, in England. So whatever I want to do, I'm gonna mess you up. So imagine that feeling, right? I did this to elevate my life to be in my marriage. I already can't see my child and there's issues with my family. And now you're doing this. You're essentially pulling the rug from underneath my feet just because things are going bad with us. Is that going to be our relationship ongoing? Every time we have a riff or an issue, you're going to try to pull the rug from underneath me? You're manipulating.
Exactly. It's almost like you're being held ransom by your literal situations. Like, listen, I can make this disappear really easy. And then we also, something that we haven't taken stock of as well too. We still are in that Me Too age where any female can say anything, and because people have started this campaign of believe women, as soon as they say something, the first response anyone now has is to believe the woman. Whereas for me, I believe in objective truth. That's what it comes down to. I don't believe anybody. Tell me the situation, lay out the case by case. I will give you my judgment on what has happened. So he's in a situation where his life is not necessarily his own control because he can always be removed from the space he's living in, and the country is now staying in at any point in time based on her reports. Separate and aside from that, she's made these allegations about domestic abuse, but at the same time, she also posited that she is the one that abused him and he displayed restraint. So it's like, that's the problem with the clips though. The clips only give brief takes into what happened. You don't know if at any point in time he decided, all right, enough's enough, and he lashed out in response and said, I'm not taking it anymore. In which case, it's still gonna look like him not being the victim, but being the perpetrator, and it's almost like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. That's what it comes down to. Because in any situation, being a man, you could probably knock out a female if you tried, right? But it still does not mean that you can't be abused.
100%.
That's true. All right, can we move on to the next clip, or we should go to the comment section? I think we should go to the comment section. That's how we're doing it. Shells, you want to add to that, or we can move on? All right, cool. So Tamara says that only who feels it knows it. I guess she's speaking about, you know, I mean, I personally feel like Tamara is defending.
Tamara is a Queenie fan.
So that's all fair. And I get,
wait,
you know,
wait, Andrew. Tamara, let me tell you something. The man who feel the glass cup and I'm fired and him fired bust.
He knows
it.
He knows it.
It's funny how persons who have been victims and have been victimized turn the tables, and they are now the perpetrators of the same things that they experience. And in trying to make their case, they are trying to project now that, you know, me are the victim. And in doing it, they put a little piece of this in there and a piece of that in there for you to, so there's some amount of truth and some amount of, you know, a mixture of everything, and that puts in, oh, me feel sorry for her because the person is playing the victim. So we're not saying she's not going through stuff and everything, but let's be fair in everything, because it's only one-sided, and we're only hearing from her. And from everything that we're hearing from her, it would be good if we take the plane ticket to a mother buy for him and just fly out. Even if they're gonna get some professional help and get back together, but go to his mother just for a while, let her calm down and see where they go from there, because she's not a victim alone. And regardless of everything that she's going through, we can't just say, all right, so what? We're sorry for Queenie and leave it right there. So
all right,
she's giving him hell. We see that.
Carrie Ann says that she's angry, she's venting, she's going to want to have the upper hand when you're fighting, and you know, I guess she's fighting dirty. And I mean, yes, Carrie Ann, good point. Tamara comes back to redeem herself by saying the relationship is toxic. Two dysfunctional people are in a relationship, will makes it toxic. And then she come back again with a second
that do is dysfunctional. He doesn't even do social media. So how you come to that conclusion that is dysfunctional?
I want to just hold that question because I want to talk about the Dewey thing after this, because I have his clip to play, and that's
she can be the person messing him up from being with her. He's doing things, so we can't just say him dysfunctional because he barely talk on social media. Hey, Tamara, what go on, girl?
Queen is venting. Yes, of course, Tamara is a very good friend of ours over here. We haven't seen her over here in a while, but it's good to see her tonight. Queen is venting for some of us who can't. I swear, I wish I could just cuss some like Queenie. Of course. So Tamara, we see where you're coming from. Now you can explain it. You know what I mean? They're both broken individuals. Yes, we definitely heard from Dewey. We're going to be playing his clip. Carrie Ann says that Dewey did not respond like her. That's true. Final comment before we get into the next clip. Queen Pinnock says that, you know, understand why these females think them can change a male, why changing the environment when they meet them and they knew who they were, you know. Well, Shells, to answer your question, I think I'm going to come back to this response. He's somewhat dysfunctional in order to deal with her, but let's move on and then we come back to that. Carrie Ann, I'm going to keep your, you know, I'm going to pin it so that I remember that. All right. So here is Dewey. And this is Dewey's response to everything. And he was a little bit calmer, I must say. But hey, see for yourself. Let's take a look.
Come on, she talk. And this morning, me, she said she licked me with the glass. You see me? But my name not too. Going at the theory part, right? You see me? The practical part, you know. I want to show now how it go. You understand? Yeah. You don't know me and my wife have a little dispute. You understand? A little talking. You see me? And you know, reach to a stage wherein she just, you know, She go from 1 to 1,000,000. You understand me? I say in real life. I don't have nothing about to say about my wife. When me and her argue, I see you say the most boss. You understand me? I say so. The love for me, I fear, I contain it. You understand me? I say in real life. No joke. But when I see she use the glass in the night and leave me, I say, Jaja star in real life. You see me? She approached me. She had some water they didn't have a cup to, and she dash it in my face. And I lie. I not tell lie, never lie. And I there, I take it. I never war with my wife. I swear to you, never lie. You see me and she put her my mother in her. My mother called my phone and I tell me to go back home. They hear that. Say my mother did have, me and my mother did have plans. My mother would call my phone and Ray, you see me? But at the same time, she obviously say I'm my mother. My mother don't have nothing to do with it. You see me? Matter of fact, my mother people them not have nothing to do with it. You get what me I say in a real life. Me and I talk about opportunity, about my opportunities and all them things there. I'm ungrateful. You don't know what is ungrateful? Eh? No know what is ungrateful, you know? If you look for me and tell me say me ungrateful, no.
All right.
I love seeing me, man. You hear that?
Straight, brother, straight. Not say
my
fat.
wife, I tell her straight. I put my hand on my wife. I never use no object and lick her yet. You see me? And when I see she use the glass and lick me, I have to say, Jaja star in a real life, you see me? Yeah.
All right. So him admit, say, him lick her, but him never use an object. There's no difference, bro. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, at first when we heard it, she was, kind of making it sound as if he was the antagonist. And then, she didn't really talk about what really happened in terms of what she did. She was more talking about what he did. And that's why he came out and made this live video with the bandage on his forehead to show that, hey, listen, for real, she licked me and bust my face. And a lot of people didn't even understand the extent of what happened. He came out, and after this, he came out and he spoke his side of the story. And then Jeannie went crazy on social media about it and went on and on and on. And here we're going to go now. We're going to shift it from Queenie. And we're going to focus on, right, that's I corrected it. And focus on doing. Dysfunctional, whatever is happening. I think we can't psychoanalyze him, Yelly. Not even you can sit here within this space of what, an hour, and based on the clips that you have heard to psychoanalyze him, but clearly, based on what we have heard, he's going through something. He's stressed, and we can't really ascertain what it is. That's why we're trying to find out what it is. Shells and I and Gio, we're not psychiatrists. We're not psychologists. Right. That's your line of work.
Right.
For him to come and admit that he put his hand on her, is it typical of an abuser to just openly admit to, being abusive?
I want to say yes and no. He seems like, and this is just from the clip I saw, he's exhausted for whatever's been going on between the two of them. It seems like he's exhausted at this point, right? If he's willing to leave the situation, right? Separate himself. As you said, right? His mom sent him a plane ticket, whatever the case may be. And it seems like he's just exhausted with the dynamic of the relationship. Maybe he didn't see it happen in this way. It seems like he still respects her and has love for her, but just, I'm tired of this. We're not doing this anymore. Now I'm speaking out and saying, I did put my hands on her. And again, right, he said, but I didn't use a weapon. So what I'm getting from it is he's implying that when I put my hands on her, it wasn't as extreme as how she's going. Regardless, it's abuse. So I don't know why he was trying to kind of negate the fact that he put his hands on her and abused her. But something more is there. And my question is, I'm wondering, why are either of you staying in this dynamic if it's abusive? I'm trying to understand what is keeping you guys here. Is it love? Because I don't think love can keep you through an abusive situation.
Sorry, you said something, and he and that's the thing, he doesn't speak much, because him putting his hand on her could be from self-defense, and
right,
not trying to defend him. It could be that he was trying to defend himself and not so much because he's an abuser and he beats her. You know, it could be that he was trying to defend himself, and
Sure.
maybe that's why he explained it in that way. I don't know, but that's another way that we can look at it. As somebody said, he's dysfunctional. Maybe he's becoming dysfunctional because of being in the environment. And as you said, he looks tired. You see, the fact that he's speaking in such a calm manner, like sometimes that indicate that, look here, I'm over this. I can't bother to even exert any energy to do so and so and so and so. So it can be, in my
The
opinion.
spliff might help him doing a show. The spliff might help him
Yeah,
because
we
me have
know
a
when
Bridget, me
yeah.
have a Bridget who stay the same way. When them man they smoke, he gonna tell you about a murder and tell you about the murder in such
and
a
be
calm
calm
manner.
about it. Yeah.
All right. So
You know what? Yeah, you know what I noticed with women is that they think they have a right to hit on people's boy children and they should not retaliate. And we have seen it being perpetuated in society for far too long, where women are comfortable slapping a man in his face, doing anything because they can always call the police. And the police will come and they will be okay because them can all just say, oh, he abused me. Him slapped, he did this, not saying that I was the one who slapped him first. Men are not concrete. You can't come to the conclusion that if you put your hands on somebody, on a man, him not going to retaliate. You cannot just hold that in the back. Oh, me a lady, him nothing lick me. No, you can't say that. And every woman is wrong for putting their hands on a man. We can't make that.
100%. I agree.
We can't make that be okay in any space or time. So me want the ladies them to level the playing field right there. So and don't think it's okay. Don't watch the whole time movie them where ladies stop a man and throw a drink in his face and do whatever he's going to do, and you must just walk away and he's not going to do anything about it. Leave that phenomenon out of your head.
all right. Some very interesting comments are coming in, and I want to get to them because it kind of, steer the conversation a little bit left, which I like it. So it's not in a negative way. I kind of like it. But Yeli, what I want to ask you though, because I see in your notes you also made mention of society normalizing unhealthy behavior in relationships. So he alluded to that. He said it. It's unhealthy, but it's not as unhealthy as her action towards me. Mine is unhealthy, but you know what I mean? So it's almost like saying, and Shells is saying the right thing too. Was it a case where it was self-defense or he was the aggressor? We'll never know. He didn't say it. But you said it earlier.
No, Queenie said it. Queenie did say it.
Okay,
remember?
So said it. All right,
Yeah,
cool. All right, cool.
Yeah.
And based on what we have heard so far, it would sound as if he would be a person just chilling because Gio even said it earlier, because he knows he's in a foreign country and he can't retaliate as much as he would probably if he was in Jamaica. So he kind of hold it. Doesn't mean that he's better, but at least he's playing it safe. So this could be the case. And because Queenie knows that she has the upper hand, knowing that he's depending on her, then she would then always overreact and try to be that mama bear over baby bear. And so now the abuse starts, where the emotional abuse and the physical abuse. We're all speculating here, but based on what she's saying, it sounds as if it was going down that path. Now, I want to ask you this. How do you know when it is real? Like when you have clients come in, how do you, I don't think it's a fair question, but based on, experiences, can you sit and say, hey, I know this husband is not being genuine, or I know the wife is not being genuine. Do you sometimes pick up on that?
Oh, of course. So that goes back to my point when I said I see them on an individual basis first, in the midst of seeing them together, because I'm joining with them. I'm getting to know them. I'm seeing who's a customer in session, right? Who's showing up and doing the work, and who's kind of not, right? Who doesn't want to be here. Like, I'm observing and I'm conceptualizing as I go along. Over a course of time, you can tell like what's actually the underlying message here. Because usually the person who's more outspoken is usually the customer, and usually is, no offense, the problem. Yeah, we're going to therapy. We're going to go fix this. We're going to do this. And it's usually them that's kind of provoking the whole situation. It's very common that happens. And that's kind of how I gauge it from there. But it's very clear over time who's actually causing the issues. And I call it out as soon as I see it.
Could the husband, let's say the wife is the paying client, could it a case where the husband feel a little bit like, he's been attacked, or, he's been scrutinized? That's why he becomes defensive and a little bit, not forthcoming with information, because sometimes that could probably be, a case. Have you experienced
so that's
that?
why Yeah, that's why I do a lot of the separate sessions, because there are going to be things that you want to disclose to me
Mhm.
that you don't want to say, or you don't know how to use the language, right, to say in a joint session. You're nervous, you're afraid, this can cause anything, right? So, hey, let's take this in a separate session. Let's talk about this. Let's see if this is information worth bringing to a session. How can we polish it, right? So that it
Mhm.
doesn't cause a big blow up in your relationship. I can't go home with you, right? I don't know
Mhm.
what's going to happen. I think the
Mhm.
other part of it is when it comes to domestic abuse, I'll just share, we're not mandated reporters for that. We're only mandated for abuse to elderly or children, right? So if it's a domestic violence situation, I can only encourage you to leave the house, or to, find a friend's house to go to a shelter, those kind of things. Anything beyond that, unless it's like death related, right? I'm
Mhm.
not mandated. And that's the other tricky part with therapy and being a therapist. You're an adult and you have to make that decision on your own. I can only encourage you. I
Right.
literally can't. I'm not mandated
Force
to
it.
do
Right.
anything, though.
Right.
Yeah, that's the struggle with
Right.
domestic
See,
situations.
see that? I like how Daniel just said that. You remember me tell you my therapist said to me, Andrew?
Mhm.
This man looked at me and said, I went to so Daniel, just for a little bit
Mhm.
of context, I went to him for
Sure.
anger management therapy. And this man looked at me and said, it's the only thing he ever said to me, as a matter of fact. Two things he said. This is the only one that stood out. If your girlfriend were here right now, I would tell her to leave you. And I looked at him, and in the back of my mind, I thought, I have given you no instance where I've ever been violent toward a female. I'm telling you about my anger, and the only thing you tell me is that you would tell my girlfriend to leave me, because in his mind, I qualified as someone who could be a homicidal maniac. And in the back of my mind, the first thing I thought was, so you want to be the first victim? You want to be the
I was
first
just
person
about
he
to say that.
killed?
I was just about to
Because
say that.
That
the one of
sounds
the only
extremely biased, though.
Yeah,
exactly,
exactly.
he
Yeah.
listened to me vent, and then
Mhm.
he just said, oh, I would tell the person you're with to leave you. And I'm like, but I gave you
Mhm.
no reason to think that the person I'm with is in danger. As a matter of fact, the person I'm with is not in danger, because my family,
Mhm.
my anger was mostly directed toward my family members.
Sure.
I listened to him, and the first thing came to my mind was, so this man I tried to tell me saying, I'm gonna mash up my relationship because of a thought that he had. And I thought to myself, he would be the first person I would kill. And I was like, all right, you know what? I don't need this.
So I want to say something to that really quick, and this could be, Andre, this could be a later conversation, but that's the other thing, right? Um, those of us who have never been to therapy, I don't think we know what to look for in a therapist, right? And I'm a firm believer in, if a therapist doesn't work for you, fire them. So in that case, Gio, I would have told you to fire that clinician and
Oh,
look for
yeah, I
somebody
did.
else.
I
Okay,
did.
good.
Of
So we
course.
good. So we're good.
All right. Let's
Me
go
never
to
want to kill
Tamara.
him. Me never want to kill him.
Mhm.
So me just
That's
say
better.
right down here
That's
work.
better. Firing him is much better
Whatever
than killing him,
works.
Gio, because probably
Exactly.
we wouldn't see you here today. Tamara says that, listen, nobody wanted Jeannie and Dewey to get married. It's been a struggle just being in the relationship. Red flag, if you can't get along with the in-laws, do not go into the relationship. It's not going to be good in the long run. We're focusing on Dewey now.
But
Dewey,
not be no in-law.
I was just gonna say, can I
well,
say something?
that's a good point, though, Shes.
In-law them. It
But,
depends. I suppose
but,
them not me a good
but,
person.
but in-laws kind of help with, because when you
I
have family
know,
functions
but
and
that's the
something like
problem
that,
when you say we have to undo, we involve the
Yes
in-laws
and
and
no.
everybody
Yes
else
and
and the
no.
mother and granny in our relationship. And that is the reason
Exactly.
why it's unstable. Because what I'm going to say what Tamara say now is that it's tumultuous from the very beginning of the
Mm.
relationship.
right?
And I don't know
Daniel,
which pastor counsel them, but if I was a pastor, I'm going to tell them not to get married right now, to date some more and to see
That's
where
right.
the relationship goes. But in a real
hey,
life, Tamara, if I am dating somebody and I meet the in-laws and they don't like me and I see husband material in that man, them can stay over one side.
Right. So, yep.
Hold on,
Exactly.
Yelly. Hold on.
Daniel, wait, Daniel wants to say something, and Jeannie said, if you tell you, Andrew say her name is Queenie, not Jeannie.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. All right, Jeannie, my apology. You wanted to say something, Yelly? Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just speaking to that point of what Shell said. Right. We're not dating the family. While
Mhm.
I get it, right? Family exists and is important, but at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer in boundary setting, especially with family, because family should not be involved in your relationship at all. Because I find that in most cases, that's where a lot of turmoil happens, right? Family involvement, not even just family, friends, everybody just kind of getting into the
Yeah,
mix. So I think prior to getting together, that boundary should be established, right? Our home is our home. Like no one
Right.
should
yeah.
be inserting themselves. They don't have that platform.
All right.
People worldwide have that problem, you know. They run to their
100%.
friends and their family when something is
Things going
wrong,
bad at home.
but
Yeah, I
them
mean,
now run go back go say, hey, guess what? He fixed
everything is good.
everything or she fixed everything. So you just leave this air of disdain and this awful
Right,
taste in your
right.
family and friends' mouth for this person, and them not gonna ever like them because you created that.
That's true. That's true. Carrion says in relation to Dewey being a saint or not a saint, she says that look how him treating baby mother. He's no saint.
Oh,
Me
how
no
him
know him
treating
baby
baby
mother.
mother. Nobody is alluding to the young man being a saint. We don't want anybody to walk away with that. But I realize that we have this thing that from is a woman and them come on social media, come ball and go on with themselves. We're going to
Just
feel
run with
sorry.
it.
She's
We
exactly.
have
It's
to
like
this particular situation where if it is that he's the victim, let's say that he's the victim. You understand? We don't know what kind of baby mother he had either, because that relationship wasn't on social media. So we can't really gauge it like that. We're just going off of a lot of what Queenie said, even about the baby mother, because Dewey is not a social media person. So a lot of what is out there is Queenie stir it up in her real life. I mean, I want to get me like Queenie. Let me say it again. But like Queenie, because she's outspoken and she does have a vibe about her that she does seem like the kind of person where once she drops somewhere, everybody going to have fun. You understand?
True.
But let's call a spade in this instance because we're trying to
hey
analyze
wait,
what's happening
Call
there.
it
hey
James.
wait.
Call it James says.
Missy, you bring up that comment, Andrew, before you even say it, like me just say this right now. Right now.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of men who work in the male self-development and relationship and dating space. And this is a thought that is out there all the time. Right there.
Okay.
In a real life, these young boys need to leave the big women alone. Me say this. You see, whenever it comes to these relationship dynamics, I always see women who have this thing in their mind where they think that younger women can date older men and there's nothing wrong with it. But as soon as it comes to a younger man and an older woman, all of a sudden there's everything wrong with it. You have to call a spade a spade. If old man can date young girl, young boy, if he can date big woman, you have to leave people alone and make people make their own decisions. I hate seeing this double standard when it gets played out. Because every woman I look for protection, provision, and all of the good things that come with that old man that can splurge money on them. So them now look no young boy. So the old woman, them will take care of the young boy, they load them and then do it. I want to know one, make no balance. I want to leave it alone. Stop it.
But she has a reason for that, though. I get the double standard because, and I think it's kind of unfair to probably say that her statement is kind of double standard based on the context of what you're saying. But she has a reason for that. She says they're going to be jealous over everything. They are going to feel threatened by younger women, just like, but it's the same thing though for the older men dating the younger.
I watched that episode. I watched an episode of Couples Court where this 52-year-old man, and I don't know how anybody didn't look at him and say, you're a predator. This 52-year-old man brought an 18-year-old girl who was pregnant with his baby on Couples Court to find out if she was cheating. The old man never did young girl jealous over everything too. None of them not stable in themselves.
But so that's
jealousy run across the board.
That's why I say we can't use Colette's comment to broad brush in the context of being double standard. I think she's just talking in the context of Queenie versus Dewey. All right, me just try to defend her, you know what I mean? But I get it, and you're absolutely right. Tamara says that Silent River runs deep. These quiet men are the worst. Don't watch that. He doesn't like social media, or don't talk much. He could be a demon behind closed doors. I guess Tamara knows something more we don't know. Yo, Tamara a gun at Dewey all night. And boy, I tell you, she's a Queenie fan. But I like how Shells keep it balanced as a Queenie fan too. Tamara says that Tamara Hilton, she must know he was lazy before they got married and still take him in overseas.
Exactly.
That's true. That's a very good point as well. That's
a fact. True.
That's true. That's so true. Hold on.
If you didn't see him, I know.
Yes. Thank you. Shakia let me know, say within 2 months they got engaged, and within 6 months of their dating period they got married. Is that accurate? I think that's somewhat.
Yes, but you see, in a real life, we really know for business with them, you know. Because if you go watch some Queenie video, then Queenie dog we out, you know. So if you left her on our June plum, so now it's June plum, right? Can we go back to be official? It's really Queenie said, left me on my June plum.
Listen, you know what? I feel like when Andrew was prospecting Daniel to come on the show. He made her feel like we were a bunch of constructive individuals and not clowns, and we need to cut it out.
You know, to be honest, I watch a lot of the podcasts and the things that he does, and I know, it's good energy, so I'm okay.
Of course, it's good energy.
Sometimes
All right.
just have to take serious something make laugh, honestly, because
I mean,
I
we have
agree.
to make light of
I
certain,
agree.
because as Shell say, why are we going to take on all of that energy and take it in our homes? Why not just laugh it and leave it at the door? You know what I mean? Why not? Thank you guys for your comments. Ashish, big up yourself. Of course, you don't know. Big up yourself, Fire Lad. Big up yourself, big artist. Of course, you don't know. Gallinger in the building. Yeah, it's an inside joke that. All right, cool. So the Cumberlos, big up on yourself. All right, so there are a few more questions and there are a few more notes that we want to talk about, but there is two videos. There are two videos rather that I want to highlight before. I keep hitting that. There are two videos that I want to highlight before I kind of move on. And this is the D official explaining her fight between she and her husband. So now it looks as if with Queenie's situation, Queenie was the aggressor in this case. All right. Queenie is the aggressor in this case, based on what we can say now, based on what Dewey responded. She draw blood. If police were to come, she would be the one arrested and gone off to jail. All right. So there's no two ways about it. In this case now, the husband is the aggressor. So let's take a listen to this story.
Long before me and Jelani married, Jelani has been trying to change. He has been trying to change, me never tell no lie on him. But, you see, when him get angry, alright, you see if Jelani go road, go drink and Jelani come back and me say to Jelani, say, listen, me nah have no sex or whatever, I fight. Anyhow, me say me nah have no sex, I fight. Because men feel like, say, yeah, them for vex. Yeah, them must vex. And them must go come in through them junk. Only if you have sex. From my point of view, it does not work like that. If me and you don't agree, me and you not have no sex. You could have gone road, go drink Jesus, we're not having no sex. So, that me and Jelani basically a fight over, because me not give him no sex and Jelani decides, say, he want to kill me for that. That's basically it. That's basically it. And I like say, me go road go sex and then with other man, that's not it. And I like say him go road go sex and then with other woman. At the end of the day, if him do that, not my problem. You understand? Not my problem. As a woman, enough women still gonna go through abusive relationship. I'm not even gonna say abusive relationship, but enough women still in a relationship where you and your man we in an argument today, right? And because you and your man in an argument today, and your man Garo drink up him juice and him come home, him feel like say, oh, him reach home now. You and him supposed to good. Him supposed to just come and go pushing big. And Jelani now no little big Oliver have. So, me you not go vex and my don't wait and you are going to come push your in and me don't work like that. That's basically what me and Jelani argue about. That's basically what me and Jelani fight over. I was locked into the room. He ma bang down the room while coming out the room. So make the video. And me say, I need help. Call the police, do something for it. At Instagram, me have more followers but I've.
All right, let's pause it right there because I want to finish this video. But let me pause it right there. So what she's saying is that he wanted sex and I'm willing to take it by force. First of all, that's rape.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Married or not.
Right. Second of all, is it that she's what type of counseling or help or improvement work of activities or whatever he was doing to kind of improve? Because obviously she's saying that he has an anger management. Mm-hmm. What was he doing? These are questions that only she and her husband can answer. Mm-hmm. But that's typical where come in, want some, now get it, and then fight to the point where Ray. What I want to talk about is her going on social media and putting it out there because it sounds as if he was being very, 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 very angry because the fact that she has to go on social media and put it out there to say, I need help because he's going to kill me. I wish I had the screenshots. I wish at the time I was thinking about, having a discussion surrounding this, then I would have screenshotted everything. But the thing is, later on in the video, you're going to hear something that I think we want to discuss. I just wanted to point that out to say, okay, him forcing her to have sex, blah, 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 and trying to force himself onto her. That's right.
And the pa-
Let's continue.
all of me TikTok them. But because that don't like me, because we are not friends, because she want to have a story to run with, she run gang post. That's it. She run gang post because what she trying to make look like me and her in the same category. We are not. We are not. We're not in the same category. Your man did beat you because you're big and stink. My man beat me because he wants when I don't want it. There's a difference. No, me not tell nobody say a man and a woman a fight is right. I'm not telling anybody that. But only need to understand a relationship, and everybody come with different characteristics. Everybody come with different characteristics. Me not gonna sit down at you lick me, I gonna lick you back. And we are gonna fight.
All right. Now, you're beaten different than the beating with me give Shaki. Because you spit pan your man and Shaki tell me no.
Hello, stop it. Fix it. Not say
All right.
Say what you say as it is. Don't do it. Because
All right.
Exactly.
So Ivan is beaten different because no, me I try to put myself in a situation like how
no. Just retract the statement and say it as
right,
it is.
yeah,
I give you
yes,
Thank you very much.
I retract it. So
Jackie?
Ivan is beaten different because her man thinks that her vagina needs caring, and her beating is because she didn't want to give the man the good. Help me make sense out of everything you just go on a while ago.
Andrew, I'm gonna give no member say Shaki is officially on the Space Force. If Andrew put a hand on Shaki, I'm certain that the next missile launch takes place, Andrew would be at the bottom of that thing waiting for it to go off so him could
because she's
roast.
gonna hear that now and then feel as if she want to play one Queenie.
He died.
And me, I don't play a Dewey. Yo, watch her come and look and she's smiling. You want to see the smirk on her face, like, yeah. But on a serious note, though.
But we live in Jamaica, right? And this ostrich thing that a lot of us have where we bury our heads under the sand and think our entire body is hiding. Yes, that's what ostriches hide. That's all. They bury their heads under the sand and you can't tell them so they're not hiding. And this is just the
That's
fruit.
coming like my son. Hold on. That's
Tree bearing fruit.
Got to hide him face and say, "Oh, I can't see you, so you can't see
me." Exactly. So that's what we do sometimes, where we are of the notion that this is only for certain people, and that's where it's gonna stay. Domestic abuse, domestic violence, intimate partner abuse, all the shades of the abuses are out there now. Who remember the music that glorifies the same women them sing it? That's if the man now
butter them.
Then it's not love and it's not good sex. If it's sex not rough and tough and hard and who can last it 2 hours, then it's not sex. It's not good sex. If it's not liquor, then nothing. And all of these behaviors have been perpetuating over the years, where we see it now in the media where choking is the way to go for sex. Like people are talking about all those kinky things that you do in sex that is
choking. Hold on. Choking is kind of cool.
Hey, let's not exactly. I was just about to say, let's not try
if you
and
start choking,
let's
no,
just-
but I'm still a choke you. I mean, I whip your hand and you get shells.
Which?
No, we are with kinky lifestyle. Yeah, don't do that. That's not nothing to do with me abusing my. Anyway, I get it.
Violence if it's sexual violence, whatever you want to call it, but it's just the whole thing coming together where people are very comfortable with abuse, and too many of our young children are comfortable, and young adults too, and that's where it comes from. A big woman I get beaten too, but to what is out there, and you realize that even the young ones think it's okay to be abused. Them think it normal. And you hear Dee say it over and over. It's not the first she coming on social media about she and her husband. Before they married, he actually beat her before. And she spoke about it. And she thought that it was okay. Because half of her saying it's not okay and the other half is saying it's okay. And then people try to put the violence on a layer, on a tier. So which one is more significant? Which one is worse? Which one is less? And all of that. So it's just the influence.
So would that be Stockholm syndrome, Yelly? Because I Shells is saying the same thing. Like, why would you think that my abuse is not as crazy, or I mean, it has less significance as yours. Your abuse is abuse because of that. Could this be a result of that, psychological conditioning of,
Yeah, definitely. And just to that point too, I think that society perpetuates that you got to be this ride or die in Dee's situation, right? That we go through ups and downs. So abuse is a part of our ups and downs. I don't know why that's normalized, especially in our culture. Oh, we go through things. You notice she said in the video, right? We go through things and we're good and all that. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna play his clips. So you'll kind of hear more of that when he's saying it too. And it's like, why is that the norm? Why are we okay with that being part of our ups and downs? Why can't we have like a verbal argument or conversation? Why does it have to get physical for us to now prove ourselves right to the media that we're ride or die and we're still holding it together? Why?
it's interesting. I
Where's
mean,
that coming
because
from?
in other words, to save face, I don't know, maybe.
Andrew, you know what's funny? That thought or that train of thought is actually a commonality across both cases. Dewey said, "Me put my hand on my woman, but me never lick her with no object." And then the official came across and said to herself, "Oh, you get beaten because, but my beating under the same kind of beating because." It's like we have come up with this metered way of judging when something is done with malice and when something is just done because it is appropriate. It's weird, but that is what it's come down to, where violence is okay, but there's conditions under which the violence becomes abusive.
That's why it comes back down to what she's saying, ride or die, or to save face. I'm a ride or die, so therefore I will take that beating because I'm a ride or die. My man, he does this well. Her man, he does that for her, blah blah blah. Versus your man that does nothing to you. So him for beat me because guess what? He might give me, he might pay the rent, he might make sure some good and rare. That's all I'm hearing coming from D. And I even said to Shaki, I'm like, yo, Shaki, does that make any sense? I mean, people in their relationship, they're gonna have ups and downs. But if me and Shaki get into it, and then come back and say, well, it is a norm, and so what? Everybody fight, everybody kick and rear. It's not okay.
So let me ask this, right? If it's normal, right? Why come on social media and say, I need help, I need help? That's your ups and downs, so deal with the ups and downs if that's the case.
There you go. But according to her, according to her, it's not her fault because she didn't bring it to the media. It's the bleep who hated her, which is Ivani, brought it to the fore to say, look, she get beaten. Because all this started out, is when Ivani was abused or beaten up by her boyfriend at the time, and they were getting to it, and it went on social media. They even went live, and it was, I don't get it why they go live with it. But anyhow, she said that fear man can't beat her. So from that, she had set that tone to say, okay, Ivani, because they were rivals, your man I beat you, and my man can't put him on me. So when Ivani saw that now, it's only fear for Ivani to clap back and to say, hey, look at it, the tables have turned. It's karma, is your karma, here you are now. As she first put it out in the public, because even though it is kind of like, well, it's more like a controlled group, it is still out in the public. It is not open for every Jackman and Jilly woman to see it, even though it's in a controlled group, but it's still not private because somebody saw it, screenshotted it, and then put it out. How did Ivani get it? Ivani's not in the group that you sent it to.
Exactly.
So you're absolutely right. Why want to blame Ivani for that? Why want to project that onto somebody who is just running with it because y'all in this nasty and this mess together?
But that's what victims do. They will, the person that abuses them is the last person to get the blame. And that is why, even as we say in our society and the laws need to change, is that if you have a dispute with your partner and you go to the police station, more than likely they won't take you as serious because tomorrow they're gonna go back together and it's just gonna be wasted paperwork for us. When I was doing my still unpublished book on domestic violence and abuse, so many things came to the fore and so much ignorance is out there when it comes on to these things. Like it's mind-blowing the enormity of abuse that is out there, and how many of our abuse victims don't know that they are being abused. They really don't know, and then the avenues that should be out there to help them is not there.
As the DGP,
I come in contact with a lot of
as he,
people, right? And If I see 10, if I ask 10 females how, certain directed questions, you'd find that 8 out of them are in abusive situations. Not asking you, I'm telling you, because at this point, I want to do another survey just to have another set of proof that between these particular years, what the statistics are. It is like norm. When you hear the conversation, I hear a young man, 3 students coming from school, and one of them, 2 girls and a male, and he said something to the female in such an aggressive tone. And she I giggle. And I said, Jesus Christ. Because not even to look at him, to say, you can't talk to me in that manner. Or she didn't know. She giggled because she thought that it was okay for him to speak to her in that manner. And it wasn't. But dare I say anything? It's like a plague amongst us, and we have to really, really, really try to make a change with it, because this, and the, as I say, is she's an
Influencer.
influencer. There are so many people being called influencers nowadays. So you can see the influence that she's gonna have on her generation, who doesn't know better. They're gonna think that it's okay for a man to beat them, and them staying in the same relationship, and you come back and defend your abuser.
All right, good point. Tamara says that I don't think it's not that they don't know, but people are too embarrassed to accept the reality. Yeli, I see in your notes you said that sometimes people are afraid to walk away from relationships for, a plethora of reasons. What are some of those reasons?
Oh, where do I begin? So could be we're in a marriage, we have children, we have assets together. That could be that's a big one for a lot of relationships. There's fear of judgment, as we see, right? There's media, there's society watching. Oh, if they know that I was abused and they hear about this, I'm in fear they're going to judge me. They're going to say that it's my fault, or they're going to say it's his fault, whatever the dynamic is. What else? Hold on, let me just glance over because I wrote some of this stuff down, right? So some people think it's impossible to have a fresh start, right? Like, how do I start over? How do I find somebody that wants me like that person does, or does for me that person has done for me? There's, of course, that honeymoon phase, right? Which I think is kind of similar to what Dee is going through too, right? Oh,
Well,
he beat me
mainly not
today.
Dee, maybe
Not
more
just her,
so,
but
right.
like,
Maybe more so Queenie, not Jeannie, but
right.
Queenie and her husband. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, when I say honeymoon phase, I mean like you abuse me today, you apologize tomorrow, we're good the next day. That's really what the honeymoon phase is. Like, he apologized to me, so we're good. But then it keeps happening, right? So that's the honeymoon phase. Like, he apologized, he bought me some flowers, we had intercourse, we're good, right? But then a couple days later, it's the same thing again. It's that same ongoing cycle for the honeymoon phase. And the last one is really just like danger. It's a life or death situation. I have no way out. I have no access to help. And that's where, me as a clinician, comes in, where I separate sessions sometime, right? So you might want to tell me something that you don't want him to hear. I can encourage you. I can give you resources, right? That maybe a family member or someone else wouldn't know about. And I think there's even a fear with that, right? Going to a shelter, there's still that fear, right? Because you're so caught up in this dynamic that you don't want to leave. And you don't know what can happen when, you don't really know what's going on in these shelters or what kind of access. So that's why it's so important to get information from an expert, right? And not just someone who's like, oh, here, take this. Get it from someone who could actually thoroughly explain what supports are out there for you.
And not only that, sorry, Andrew, not only that, too many persons are okay with being called out of their names. They think it's funny at first, and they find different things to connotate to being called certain things and being spoken to a certain way, until it gets out of control, and it now becomes abuse in such a way where that person begins to identify that no, something is wrong. Is getting more aggressive, or she's getting more aggressive. No, you hold me too hard for too long, until the physical part come in, or we talk about financial abuse, and everything else start to fall in place, where the different levels of abuse start to happen, and then the person might be able to identify it. But where you are, I must say that there are so many support groups and avenues that are available for persons versus here. We don't listen to the radio and watch the TV and see
For that.
ads scrolling across the screen or saying, if you're going through this, call this number, or we can do this for you or do that for you. A little of it is available, but not enough persons know that there are
Yeah.
places they can go and different things available for them to get out of whatever situation they're in. Who is there to tell them? If me see my mother man did a beat she, and my man come beat me, no, I'm gonna think that it's normal because my mother stayed in that relationship for 20 years. I'm gonna think it's normal. And then we don't talk about females abusing men. Most that is swept under such a carpet
Yeah,
that
90% of the time we hear it.
because that's not even spoke. That's taboo here for men to say that they're abused.
So, Shells, I want to say two things to your point, right? So, in the beginning, when I mentioned family of origin, right, that's why that's so important as a marriage and family therapist. When I'm gathering information on someone, exactly what you said, right? I saw my mom get abused and she didn't do anything. So, chances are I'm either going to be abused or the abuser. That's usually how the cycle continues. So, when you see someone that's an alcoholic or see someone that has addictive behaviors or mental health, like you ask those questions early on so that as you start to form an understanding of the client, you learn where that came from, right? Where did this disease come from, or where did this come from? It's all has to do with family of origin. And I don't consider family of origin as in just blood relatives. Whoever was an influence around you in your critical years of upbringing, that's family of origin for me. So if I know that that person was amongst you and they had an influence on your life going forward, I know that they're a part of why you are the way you are today. The second point I wanted to make was to your point of like resources and getting information. I try my best when I talk to anyone, just to kind of put myself out there. Even though I'm not much of a public speaker, I try to be the change that I want to see in the world, right? So I try to put my best foot forward and say, hey, I'm this type of person. And 9 times out of 10 people reach out to me, which I appreciate because even if I can't provide that resource for you, I know someone that can. I can direct you to that place. So to your point of, people don't really know, I put myself out there to be that person to direct them to somewhere where they could know.
All right, cool. So we have less than 50 minutes to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much. And we got a few more things to cover. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Shells. There's a comment that I wanted to highlight. Excuse me. And I think I want to grab it real quick before. Colette Jim says that if a man just said a word, say him go lick me, the relationship over. It's easier said than done for you. Some females, as we've been highlighting that male and female, we do get stuck in certain relationships. And Yeli said it, some people are afraid to separate because of marriage, because of ties, because of kids, because of you know what. And
fear is one of the biggest factors.
Is another thing. So it's good that you call it.
Fear for your life and the life of your loved ones.
It's strong, but how do we, that's why Yeli says, and even Shell's saying that we need to find ways in which to assist these females who can't physically pick themselves up and just leave. For some females, it's easy. I mean, some relationship, the man will start beat the woman in the first 5, 6, 10 years. Maybe something happened after that. Sometimes some things happen and him just kind of just lose it. You know what I mean? So we're not condoning it, but we're just saying that sometimes it's, it's easy and it's always good to see the red flags and then cut. But for some people, it's definitely not that easy. All right. So I'm going to share the response of the husband.
But just a second, Andrew. Education, right? How do you identify the red flags when nobody teaches you what red flags are? So it's deep. Where we have to come from is that we have to go back to the roots and dig deep and bring these things to the forefront. And it has to be like how we eat food daily. Like every time you go on social media, there's some ad popping up or something that speaks to these things.
That's true. It's true. Makes sense. Education. Hey, here's a response from
I love my woman to death. You see me? Me do anything to protect my woman and make sure say she alright because watch her. She been there, she been holding the struggle, see me. I get to me and say no matter what me go through, she did it for me. Likewise me to her. No matter what she go through, me always did it for her. You see me? However, me don't know if the season or what, but the Easter, me don't know why it moves so grimy, but by the grace of God, hope everything work out well. You see me? My woman know me, I know say me I know a abuser or me I know a woman beater as well the whole on the drunk or running that say. So me and my woman we go through things, everybody go through them flaws, everybody go through them with the relationship. So we can go through our one too. We are go through our one. You see me, we are govern it like a G. Whole lot of people want to see we break apart. You see me? Whole lot of people are pray down for our relationship. You see it? The only thing left for me doing in my relationship now just make some crazy money. And then I say lifestyle, but what? Life and God I try to show me it a different way. So I have to humble myself, make sure I protect my woman and my picking them. And you know, if you have a peaceful life, we just make God reign over we. So again to my woman, since the media run it foolishness, baby girl, sorry for everything with me, yeah? And me you know that. If you see me I come and this and I do this, you know what time it is. So nobody running the foolishness, love them.
All right, Chopper.
It's funny. Can you imagine how much he gaslights her?
Thank you. Me just like I said that, Shells. He come the facts him come on social media, come talk
Yeah.
about him love her with all him life and wait till him get money. Me know hear the man say I'm gonna try continue fixing himself, you know, cause that's why I ask the question, what kind of fixing did I fix himself when D say, I mean not lie, Jelani I try to fix himself.
Really?
But do you
Is
see
it not
the honeymoon phase
narcissistic
in that
trait?
Yeah,
though?
yeah. That's what I'm saying. I picked up on you taught me something today. I thought the honeymoon phase was the early days, the early stages, but honeymoon phase continues even 10, 15 years after. But it's after, the abuse or
It's
whatever
public
happened.
apology, right? Oh, look, you see, I'm making this video from you. No, come on social media. You know, I'm sorry, but then it's gonna happen again, right? Then he's gonna do another gesture to apologize. I'm sorry, but then it's gonna come again, right? And then that ride or die. They don't want to see us together. We go through our ups and downs. You go through your ups
Typical,
and downs, right?
that typical, yeah.
Right? Why
People
can't we go through
don't,
our ups and downs? What's
yes,
wrong?
We're
just like
learning
So
a lot.
that ride or die, right? So
We're learning a lot tonight.
interesting.
But isn't that typical traits that you see in narcissist and abusive people though, you
100%, 100%.
Wow. Queen says that I'm convinced they don't understand the definition of abuse.
I agree, Queen
I
Shab.
gotta ask, if what is it a case because if it's a case where because in this case he's not defending himself, him put him on panar because he's not getting his way. Because there's a difference between a man who is abusive and abusing his woman versus a man who is defending himself. And she'll always talk about this. So in this case, he's an abuser then, because if you go push him on first spanner and beat her because him not get fame way, he's an abuser. And the fact that he's not accepting that he's an abuser, and it's the fact that he's not accepting that he has a problem, that says a lot to me. Admit to yourself. Acceptance is the first step in healing, bro. And if he doesn't do that, then that means that he's in problem. And I personally see that.
The change that I want to see in Jamaica, I think I don't know if Yeli can maybe update me. I know some states in the US where as long as there's proof that the victim is being abused, whether or not you want to go and
test charges or not,
test charges, the person will be charged. I
New
want
York.
those things happening in Jamaica.
New York
Once
is
there's proof, and there's proof because it's on social media, and there are videos and pictures of her, and she admitted that he did it. He didn't deny it. So there's evidence that he abused her. I want to see those days when we move from that place, because we talk about the reasons why a person may not even go to the police station. I'm afraid of you. You say you're going to do this and do that, so I'm not going to go.
Right.
Well, how am I going to be protected? I'm dying for those days. I won't lie.
The man said he apologized because it is out on social media.
After you see me, I do this.
You know it's real. Okay. But you're going to go do it again, and there's going to be a new apology.
In a marital spot, though, Daniel, who is, like in terms of cases that you've seen, in terms of numbers now or a percentage, Is it the husband the aggressor more or the wife the aggressor more in terms of what you have studied and based on what colleagues say? Because we usually tend to say, okay, it's always the men. And sometimes she'll say it's not only the men, it's sometimes the women. But in your case, in terms of the cases that you have done, and even from your colleagues, who would usually be the aggressor?
So funny enough, both of them, and I say both because the men usually do it physically, and the women are usually the emotional and the mental abuse. So they're essentially provoking each other. The men just handle theirs more in a
Physical way.
aggressive, physical way, right? Whereas the women are jeering at them, right? You saying things that are you're
Saying
showing
things that
difference, right?
saying things that
No,
would actually trigger a person to actually blow up.
100%, 100%. And I think to your point earlier, Gio, you were saying something like, as if men don't have feelings and don't, hurt or
Right.
go through things. Women know that, and they know when they're hitting below the belt. That's more to a man. And correct me if I'm wrong. Saying something with my words to hit you emotionally is more effective than me putting my hands on you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like
So
hands down. You say something that makes
it's
that
very common.
it's not even just when it touches on your ego, but sometimes that's all it really is. Like something that literally digs away at the essence of what's supposed to make you a man. It's like they say things that they know is going to put you in this position where mentally you feel like you have just been, as somebody said like long time ago, buoyed up. Like when they put you in this position where it's like you're in this box where you're like a child. Like, no, you don't talk to me like that. And that's all it comes down to.
So,
That's
like I said, it is both. I don't know how many clinicians pick up on the emotional and mental that the woman does. I mean, it's very easy, right, to focus on, oh my God, he hit me. And oh my gosh, we got to get you help. No, 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 no. Let's back up a little bit. What led up to this? I need more context around this. And I do my due diligence to get the information. And that's where the unbiased position comes from with me, where I'm seeing you guys separately. I want to hear the different perspectives on how this led up to here, who said what, who did what. Then that's how I form the understanding. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, it's both of them. One's doing it. The woman is usually doing it on like the mental part of it, and then the man is physical. So
And
that's just
you
what
know
I
what's
love.
funny? You know what's funny to your point? In this day and age, people who hold that stance that you go for there where you say, what led up to this? Are usually people who get canceled. It's like Chris Brown and Rihanna. Chris Brown bit Rihanna in the face. Everybody's like, oh my God, how could you do that? And then
it didn't come out of left field. What happened?
The first thing that I thought when that happened was like, listen, this man is not a cannibal. He was not trying to eat her. Like there had to be something that happened that tripped the rift. And he was like, no, like you are just you're out of pocket. And it just happened. Not saying that it is okay, but we all have to understand that in these situations, everybody shares an equal responsibility. And it comes down to this point of when you're in a relationship and people are trying to, if there's one person telling the other person, oh, this is what you need to fix, and this is what you need to fix, and this is what you need to fix. If you are the only thing that's wrong in the relationship, then the relationship itself is wrong because you can't be the only person in the relationship that has a problem. Right. There has to be accountability across the board.
Makes sense. And my next question, because we have less than 2 minutes to go, and I just want to get through these questions real quick. I mean, I wish we had more time, but we're going to wrap up at the 30-minute break. What are the top 5 reasons, usually when you do counseling, what are the top 5 reasons marriages break
up? Communication is the top one. I can't even say there's a top 5. Communication. And communication leads to other things, to conflict, to cheating, to disagreements, to financial issues. That's another big one. I think communication is the root to all these things, or lack of communication, I should say, leads to all those things.
Right. What advice would you give to these social influencers and for those who are actually experiencing the same thing or similar in this situation, but not coming forward, but for those who have actually brought their, problems to social media? What advice as a therapist would you give to them?
Keep your relationships private is a big one. Use your platform to literally influence, but influence positivity, right? So if you're going through an abusive situation, if you're going to speak on it to help other people, not to bring down the other person and for likes or for follows. I mean, literally share the information so other people feel comfy coming out or, looking for resources to get support. Even if they put supports on their networks, right? People are looking, people are going to click, people are going to go to that place because they feel like you did that thing. So, I mean, really just use your platform for your viewers in a positive way.
All right, cool. So thank you so much. Is there a way that you're allowed to talk about your practice
Yeah.
on air? Okay, so go ahead and your 10 seconds of
Well,
promo.
I'm based in Connecticut. APS counseling. I'm on Psychology Today. If you're looking for me, I mean, you could connect with Andrew if you're looking for me. I have business email, phone number, you name it. So I'll leave it in your hands, Andrew, at this point.
All right, cool. So for the
Mhm.
couples who are actually going through, their issues and would like to get a non-biased perspective or some insight, of course, Yellie's open for discussion. There's a consultation
Or a
fee. You have
referral.
to pay me a referral. Or
hmm
yeah, but you have to pay me a consultation fee, right? I'm just joking. But anyhow, I have the links for you guys. So hit me up. Don't
Yeah.
be afraid. Of course, we have to help it. And as you asked, and as Shells said, and Gio actually admitted to, and of course, I will second that, we need to start making it the norm to say it is good to get counseling
hmm
because that's the only way we're going to influence others. And as you said, the advice to the influencers, use your platform in a very, very positive way. I see Queenie went on live talking about her situation with her husband, and she get almost 17,000 views. And this is where she gets this every time she goes on. Prior to all of that, she might get a 5,000 or whatever the number is. But for as far as 17,000, so people love gossip. People love mix up. People love the negative. And that's just the bottom line. So if you can keep them out of your life, go ahead. I know everything you have to put out in social media. Shells, 30 seconds before we go, and then Gio. And then I close.
I am just saying that it's not okay to abuse anybody. It's not okay to lay your hands on anybody, no matter your gender
Mhm.
at all. And if you find yourself not being okay in a situation and you cannot communicate your feelings to your partner in a way that makes you feel comfortable, then seek some help. Talk to somebody, a professional, more than likely a professional who can direct you in the right direction so that you can put your feelings and what you're going through into perspective so that you can make an educated decision or a decision that will suit yourself. Because in the end of it, you are the only person that matters first because you have to be well before you can be well for somebody else.
My turn. Apologies. So for me, you have to draw a line and understand that abuse is not okay in any shape or form, and it does come in many forms. So you have to know when you're being mentally abused, when you're being verbally abused, when you're being physically and financially abused, and you have to be able to have a handle on yourself in these situations so that it doesn't go any further. Than you have to be able to effectively communicate. And if you're in a relationship where constructive criticism is okay, then you do so in a manner that is conducive for the betterment of the whole, not just so that you can get your point across and then the other person should just take what you are saying. The communication has to be a two-sided affair where both people feel like they've been heard and actual steps toward making positive change is happening on both sides. There's never just one person that has a flaw. All right.
All right, Gio, thank you. But Shells, I caught you right there. I wish the viewers could see what goes on behind the scenes, but anyhow, that's how freestyle we are right here. VAL'S Live. Yelly, thank you so much for stopping
Daniel, yeah, it was
Thanks for
nice
having
meeting
me.
you.
Nice
I
meeting
like
both
it.
of
I
you
like
too.
your aura. You know, she's
Thank you.
so calm. And
Yes.
I
Believe it or
couldn't
not, I'm like this all the time,
all the
arguing on
time.
this com too. I don't know how or why, but this is me.
All
You
right.
have to teach me
I know
how.
Mhm.
I know exactly why. I remember I used to tell people it takes a crazy person to actually go into psychology. So she figured out that she was
Okay,
crazy, so it was easy for her to make the transition.
I'll take it.
All
I'll
right,
take
cool.
it.
See you on Clubhouse, Yelly.
All
All
right.
right. Well, good.
All
Thank
All
you.
right.
right.
Thank you so much. All right, Gio. All right, Shells. We've come to the end of another brilliant show, a nice show, a very informative show. I think tonight was very, very, very informative. It was good. We had some probing questions and we actually spoke about a lot of things that I think a lot of people who love the mix up, they're not doing. All they're doing is just to repeat the mix up and they don't try to fix it. But hey, people, if you're in an abusive relationship, link up Yelly, link up somebody who can help you. Speak out. We're not saying to bring your, business to the public, but go ahead. And of course, take heed, take our advice. And of course, walk good. Until next week, I'm Andrew Val saying on behalf of Shelly. Of course, you don't know Shelling Shells, Geo, Hype TV. We want to say peace out. Catch y'all next week, same time, same place. This has been another episode of VAL'S Views Live, the podcast. Welcome to VAL'S Views Live podcast. Real news, real talk, real views. Join us weekly for social, political, and religious commentaries, analytically dissecting viral news and more. When they mix it, we'll fix it. Unorthodox and unfiltered views. This is VAL'S Views Live, the podcast edition. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Watch it live in Jamaica on Hype TV and across the Caribbean. Stream it live on Facebook, YouTube. Don't miss it.